On today's episode of Let's Talk FGO, more news about the next JP chapter. Don't worry, it's not out yet, but soon. And also ongoing rerun facts, celebrations, even TM and EN, and some more things. Hello, I am one of your hosts, or rather, we are your hosts. I should think about the grammar of this. We're your hosts. Over there's Lucky, Hydration Lucky, and I am Dihydration Omega.
Oh, so with that, though, I hope everyone is enjoying Fate Grand Order, a.k.a. Beast Mode. And while we here at Studio Omega would like to bring you the latest Netro-related news and memes, we will be talking about current and future events for the JP and EN versions of the game. So anyone not want spoilers should come up with more material for our podcast.
Something like that. Yes, and that's actually, I didn't double-check all of the intro, but that's actually a segue, and you'll know why in a second, people at home. But, sorry, I get it, but I was slightly flummoxed by a GIF in patron chat. Hey, by the way, this episode is brought to you by our patrons, some of whom are live in chat right now. More on that at the end of the show. I could probably stand to do a little of the patron promo at the front to remind you that we have a patron you can support us on and to do all the liking and comment and subscribing. But anyway, what did I say? Lucky's intro was a segue, for reasons you don't know, because, hey, the show's coming out a day late, and this time it's me. It's my fault. Mea culpa. Friday, I was the one who said, hey, I'm feeling pretty gassed. I've been tired all day. If you really want to record Lucky, I'll, activate my cortisol and, figure it out. And Lucky was like, no, you do most of the talking, so if you're too knackered, and it's like, okay, I'm going to go lay down again. Mm-hmm. And now we're here. Where I still feel slightly off. But part of that is just because I ate a big old heaping helping of the za earlier. So I'm a little full. I was hoping watching Life of Brian before we recorded would let me digest it all, but no. The movie's only an hour and a half. But we're here now, and yes. So the delay is on me this week. I was the one who was too tired. But that's why Lucky made the crack, because that's what I said. I would be like, I could go, I could just, go beast mode and force it. We've done some episodes like that before, and usually they're funny, but I don't know how well made they are. But we're here now, and we're going to run down all of the old segmentos. I especially wanted to make sure that we did the show for sure, because quite a decent number of you showed up for mailbag, so be sure to tune in for that later.
Yeah.
But first, after the patron shout-out, we check in with everybody's favorite Kohai, Mash.
Senpai, 起きてください.
Because it's time for Wake the Fuck Up segment for pro tips, and this is basically just a continuation of the intro skit anyway. My only pro tip this week, because I can't keep coming up with these, man. There's nothing going on. It's like the second of a third week rerun, and JP is in the last couple days of an event, and then announcing that a new event is coming, but it's not out yet, so here we are. But the pro tip is hydrate, and I'm specifically saying that because, like I said, Friday, I don't know what day of the week you're watching this, so I won't specify too temporally, but Friday wasn't feeling too good. Basically, woke up with a headache, couldn't quite shake it all day. Even though I was drinking oodles and oodles of water, I still felt pretty dehydrated, so make sure you're drinking water ahead of time. Make sure your water cycle is all balanced out, chat. It's important. You're 70% water.
So much water.
Yeah, honestly, it's probably just because it's really freaking hot, is what it is. It's hot, and there was a period earlier in the year where it was getting cool at night. You could crack open the windows, let the cool air in, let all the heat out. It's not doing that anymore, so, we're just praying for the AC kick on. But, with that out of the way, like I said, not a lot else going on, so there's no goods, no evils. It's true neutral all the way down, and so we continue to move on to our sections. And that is, we move next to, did you finish your master missions? Which, when this episode's coming out, you don't got a lot of time. But you probably did, because to finish your master missions this week, hey, remember I said it's the second week in a rerun? This is the ones that are all about the event, baby. You need to defeat 15 each of Saber Assassin enemies, Archer Rider enemies, and Lancer Caster Berserker enemies. I didn't have to say enemies that last time, but I did anyway. And then get 15 each of Roses, Laurels, and Medals drops. So get currency, defeat enemies, do the event. I am behind on the rerun because I was stockpiling Saint Quartz. We're unfortunately probably done with that. We'll see if I get another tenner stockpile before the event ends, but I also am in the phase where I need to finish the event and get that grail, and also the Saint Quartz associated with all the bonus missions, so we'll figure that out later. The classic. Actually, it's a good question. So, I won't spell out the whole joke. I will continue to incentivize you to support us on Patreon. Any patron level can get access to the patrons area of our Discord, so you can see the joke that Lucky did. But Lucky did a variation on the Prophet joke. And I don't know if a lot of people remember, but that's originally a Fate Stay Night joke. Or at least the most popular version. I think that was actually the earliest. I don't know if I saw it before that, but it's was popularized by Goofy fan comics. See, this is like a South Park clip? This is not quite the joke format. Yeah, South Park. So it seems like, based on the GIF, that like the old deviant art, comic jokes about Fate Stay Night, which was, I think, about the Dean anime specifically, because they were making jokes about CGI dragons and stuff. But like, that seems like it's a variant on this South Park joke, depending on what year that's from. But the South Park gag is only 3 phases and only 1 question mark. Specifically, number 3 has to be 4 question marks. Otherwise, it's a different gag entirely. But that aside, that takes us firmly into the realm of skelograms, where there's not much, but there is a little news. First of all, if you're keeping track, banners on banners on banners, NA, Fate Grand Arcade collab event, pick up summon 2, and then technically like 3 and 4. And actually, let me check. Did they fire up a third one of these last night while I wasn't looking? Chronologically, the first is, starting on the 16th, a Mole and Kazgil and Skahak banners until the 25th. Yes, there we go. Okay, so technically there's like 5 of these. Ooh, sorry, hiccuped a little. But going in chronological, like I said, Mole and Skahak banners coming up. And then the big one most people expected, the Tiamat Locusta, that started the 20th, goes until the 4th of June. But we've just had 2 more of these fired up. What is technically pickup 4 is Nightingale on one, Mordred and Lancer Alter on another, Jack and Nero Claudius on another one, which is very funny. I guess there isn't technically, would it be Altera would be the SSR for Septum, only just. And then Gramps' first Hassan, and they're all at different times. The last one ends the 4th as well. And then, hey, guess what? I told you it would happen again. But we've got another free quest backup pickup summon.
Ta-da!
And hey, I think it was like a week or 2 ago when I was like speculating about these. I was being like, "Oh yeah, I don't know what they'll do for the collab. Will it be like another AOE alter ego or what?" Well, it does seem like somebody I think in Patreon chat suggested it. Does seem like they've gone with a berserker to ape the class advantage of Draco, because it's Vlad 3. It's a Vlad 3 Carmilla rate up.
Vampires,
is that a good rate up? Yeah, vampires.
Honestly, not really.
No, these are both permanent units. Carmilla, I love her. She's a tutorial 4-star. Like, literally, you could get her on your intro batch. And Vlad is good, but he is a permanent. He is the permanent single target berserker. For a long time, he was the key there. And well, I don't know exactly how many copies Lucky has of old Unky Vlad, but it's a lot. So
he's at MP5. I don't know if I've got any more other copies. I don't think about it. I don't.
He doesn't think about it. Yes. No. Like if you need the unit, he is really good in his slot. He's really great at it. But it's just one of those things where, like, compared to all the other banners going around, you've got limited units galore. You've got Tiamat backup. You could just roll Draco and get the intended effect. But it exists. They keep coming up with a way to tack on these extra gloopy banners. Sorry, if you hear me like pause and lean away from the microphone, that's me trying not to belch right into it. So my tummy a little rumbly.
Oh, yeah, rumbly in the tumbler. Actually, I don't think I've gotten extra Vlads, because I'm pretty sure my USOs have come from an extra Mordred, and I think an extra John at some point. I don't remember. Oh, wait, no, I got one from an extra Coin Sky of Darkness. I know, because I kept that extra Coin Sky of Darkness. She now stays with me forever.
We keep making that, keep track of those, because, you can do some memes that way.
Memes.
Listen, there are some people who do roll those big old extra copies, but yeah, so that's your complete rundown of all the various banners happening related to the arcade collab. There's a lot of them. Next, the JP news, again, chronologically. So, we have the pre-release campaign and the official name for the next story chapter, Nostalgic Eternal Journey, past Chaldea. Pre-release campaign starting the 21st, ending the 3rd of June. So, Nostalgic Eternal Journey, past Chaldea. But, yeah, it sounds, again, first of all, doesn't sound like, a numeraled chapter necessarily. Like we said last week, a discussion of, like, people are being like, oh, brother, another 7 things. And I'm like, I don't know yet, but this could be an interesting one, kind of like nostalgic journey, past Chaldea. Seems like that might be an opportunity to touch back on some characters who have gone or are out of focus, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So that's neat. That it seemed like when talking about where FGO would go next, I think Nasu and Takuchi were talking in interviews about, like just those side things that were not necessary for the plot to be completed, but may have been left to the wayside. Obviously, Foreigner audio call was one of them, but there are a few of those. But yeah, so the pre-release login for more Apples and St. Courts. They already had like a mini one of these, but they extended another week. In addition to the previous discounts on story that are still ongoing, back when this was not named, we are now up to quarter AP on Epic of Remnant, Hankyo, and Trom. We're including all story in this now. And half AP on other main interludes. So if you've got any main interlude stories you're not done with, those are half AP. Also, first clear free quests on, I think, everything. All free quests are half AP. And you got half AP on Training Grounds and Embers, rank ups, and interludes. You've also got double suck chance on all servants. And I just put in my notes loads of banners. Because last time, Lucky brought up that even though it was like Jalter was the poster for it, they were doing actually a singularity type thing. Well, to emphasize, how should I say this? To emphasize how much bigger the Lost Belt era was, they're doing Lost Belt themed campaign now. So there's a fuck ton of SSRs, so I will list all of the rollable units for you now. I didn't want to write them all down. So, for Lost Belt Anastasia, you've got obviously Anastasia and Ivan, Adelante altars on both of those, and then you've got Evike Braun and Antonio Salieri, respectively. For Gacha Damarung, you have 4 banners, because you can roll Napoleon, Skadi, Sitonai, and Sigurd. Valkyrie is on raid up with all of those. Next, you've got, for Lost Belt 3, Sun, you have Chishongdi and Paisen, Old Man Li Shuen, and Prince of Lanling, and then Shangyu, Qin Langyu. Red hairs on all of those. Now, we added a bonus one in Yuga Kishtera. We didn't have to, but we added a Karna raid up in there. So there's a Karna, and then there's Arjuna Altar and Jinako, plus Lakshmi Vayesh Vatman, William Tell and Asclepius. Atlantis and Olympus are grouped together as one category, so again, there's like mega loads of them. So you've got Super Orion, Odysseus, Dioscuri, Europa, Musashi, Romulus Quirinus, and Sherlock Holmes. We snuck Sherlock Holmes in the Atlantis Olympus zone. Canis is the 4-star on all of those, and the only 3-star is My Friendo, Mandracardo.
My friendo.
Avalon the Fae was not split, but there's still a boatload of SSRs there, because we included Castor Artoria, but also Morgan, Muramasa, Melusine, and Oberon. And then raid-ups on the 4-star split between Bargist and Babanshi.
Mm-hmm.
And also, we rounded out with Mictlan. That was a mere 3 5-stars. It's Tez, Kukulkan, and Nidacris Altar. Tenno is on all 3 of those. So yeah, loads and loads and loads of banners for Lost Belt related servants. I would guess because we did tuck like Musashi and Muramasa in there, it probably means there's no EOR campaign coming. They might still do an Ordeal Call themed campaign, because let's see, the pre-release doesn't end until the 3rd? Let me pull up a calendar. Yeah, so like this Wednesday, like the 27th, they could launch a whole bunch of Ordeal Call related campaigns for like a week. I think Meta Jean like had a raid up pretty recently and stuff, so I don't know if they will, but they could.
Excuse me.
Let it not be said that JP is afraid of banners.
They are really not.
I mean, again, how many fucking 5-stars did I just rattle off? Like, each of those is a separate raid up, I'm pretty sure. I really hope they're on separate raid ups, because otherwise you're really taking your life into your hand if you're rolling that Atlantis Olympus block. There's like 9 of those guys. But yeah, so like, lots of different areas. Oh, and actually, I forgot to put a note here, but I should have said after loads of banners. There were some rank ups. We've got a skill rank ups for Sigurd and for Valkyrie. Let me see what those were. This is Sigurd's 3rd rank up, by the way. This raises his crystallized wisdom. So the NP damage is now 3 turns, or rather increases his NP damage for 3 turns, and also 20 to 30% gauge. Who could have guessed? Honestly, Sigurd likes that. It's a little sad we got to wait a couple years for that. And then Valkyrie got their evade skill. It's now a 20 to 30% battery, and also 10 to 20% attack up for all Valkyrie trait allies.
Nice.
Which is regular Valkyries, all the summer Valkyries, because they're all technically separate units, and the 2 Brins. So, not a huge trait, but it's a fun little... It could have just been, 20% attack up on self, but now it's, 20% for all Valkyrie allies. There's probably some funny team comps you can do there.
No, I always love that kind of stuff.
No,
Team
it's
synergy
cute.
and whatnot.
Also, it makes sense because they changed it from, like the Swan Mystic code to Swan Formation, so, it's like them formation fighting, literally. So, that's good. Both of those, good buffs. And then to switch to NA for game news. We're in the 4th part of the Event Revival Celebration campaign. It started the 21st. So, now you get Lilum Harlem Servants as free quest support now. They're in a daily rotation. And also there are additional missions added for clearing Lilum Harlot related stuff, which give you teapots, which is always nice.
Teapots are good.
Yes. And also reminded me, because I didn't jot that down, but that was, like I said, I wrote all the show notes yesterday while I was super tired.
Goop.
I was dehydrating, so I'm like, oh yeah, shit. Caldea Radio did some funny polls, which got some interesting results. So these were all, kind of relationship focused, mostly like school and office relationships. Hearing that, by the way, made me think of a comment that I think it was last year or maybe 2 years ago. It was around the 10th anniversary, but I don't remember if it was like before or after. But there was a comment from somebody. I think it was actually Nissan, but it might have been like Takuchi or someone in like the Type Moon staff. But they were talking about the fact that like FGO was going to be around for 10 years. So, you could have started playing in high school and now you are a completely full adult. Like you have definitely finished high school, probably finished university type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, no, the game's been around a while. So like makes a lot of sense that you would kind of combine those 2 areas. So in best friend, number 1, my friend and yours, Mandracardo.
I love it so much.
No, it's good. Mash is number 2. Castoria actually got number 3. Senpai, I really wish I had the numbers for this because it's very funny. Number 1 is female Hakuno. Number 2, male Hakuno. So, like, they were real close. And then Madam President is number 3. So, like, that's a good spread. It's just very funny to me that, like, I really want to see how close that race was.
Oh, we're getting so close to the hecking.
Oh, yeah, it's soon. Only a few months.
Yep. It's going to be great.
Somebody actually brought this up, that it was very funny that, because it was all based on the JP vote, but, I forgot that there's a Hakuno cameo in Little Harlot. So.
Like Stella Hakuno cameo.
Yeah.
That.
So it'll be interesting to see how that all come together. The person I'm interested in poll, very funny. Number 1 was Mash, showing her popularity. Number 2, though, Jolter.
Staying strong all these years.
Yeah. The id stonks were huge. Number 3, Oberon. This guy's getting fucking Nendroids. I knew he was popular. Now, Teacher is very
People love
funny.
a bad beach.
They do. He's popular for a lot of reasons, but he is popular. Teacher was very funny because number 1, of course, was Waver.
Yeah.
Al Meloy, Julian Lang. Number 2 was Old Moriarty, the maths professor.
Yeah.
It's a good fit. Number 3, Morgan. Which is like, that's a little odd, but, go for it, gang. She can be teacherly. And then kind of the splitting the coworker or working environment stuff, the coworker question was basically the same results as best friend, just slightly different ordered. Mash came out number 1, and Mandracardo went to number 2. Castoria was number 3. Mash probably does seem like a slightly more reliable coworker.
Yeah.
Mandracardo has a tendency to get a little down the dumps. The senior employee is, again, super funny because number one is Saito.
He does seem like he definitely seems like, the old salaryman type when he's in the suit.
Yeah, he does seem like your reliable senior at work. And then it was, again, the Hakunos with female Hakuno edging out male Hakuno in that response. That does seem to be kind of the vibe that their characters invoke in FGO is kind of, your senior, your upperclassman type. Been here, done this shit before. And, depending on which routes you've gone through between, Extra, CCC, Extella Link, because there's a lot of timey-wimey shit in there. Hakuno has also done a lot of bullshit, dealt with a lot of crap. For a manager, I don't know. They're taking the piss, man. Number one, Hijikata.
I mean, I can see it.
I guess, I don't know exactly what work culture is like in Japan right now, but the people replying on this type of poll, he'd be a lively manager for sure. I don't,
He'd be that guy who's sitting up front at the counter who yells at people all the time. He'd just be that, that brusque and loud manager that sits at the head. No, I can see it. I've seen enough, office worker animes to understand this.
Yeah. Number two, Waver.
That's the overworked middle manager right there.
Kotomine. That's just, you're a cowboy, ladies and gentlemen. Rejoice, the Christmas bonuses. I would be very careful if you're working at an office with Kotomine as your manager, okay? You're into some sketchy shit. You've heard of a black company? What about all the world's evil company? And then for president, which is specifically for company president, number one, with a bullet, my president and yours, it's Madam Prez, it's you, Olga.
Of course.
Number two being Kaz Guild, number three being Takasugi Shisaku, which, works, because he is kind of a presidential of the company character in FGO.
I like how Kaz Guild met in, because I'm pretty sure that's all because of his, gorgeous P persona.
Yeah. I mean, maybe a little of, his role as, boss from Samurai Remnant 2.
Yeah, I can see that.
Gil's the kind of guy, I mean, he has a ridiculous golden rule, but Gil is the kind of guy who, rolls up and is yes, I'm in charge of this company. Everything's going fine, actually. You think he'd be flashy and extra, but then, like you said, the gorgeous P moment, he's just no, he's got everything in hand. But yes, great little polls. If you have any thoughts on that, be sure to let us know. But that will take us out of the Skeleton Gramule.
The Skeleton Gramules. That means it is time for this week's Let's Talk FGO mailbag. The same way we read what you have to say and comment accordingly. Let's do one last refresh just to see if we got 8. A lovely comments. We'll get through them all. At the top, we start with the Tyrant King, who in his wildest dreams has Chaotic comic back in October on his bingo card. Question: hey guys, with Chaotic coming back after checks 12 years, what the fuck IP could come back in today's market? Also, with both Siggers and the Vaults getting the double buff, do you think we might get a pseudo servant Ophelia in the next story chapter? Anyway, that's it for me. Sending good vibes your way. Wah wah. And hope you have a great evening and holiday.
It's true, it's the holiday weekend.
Is there a fucking defunct IP that I could...
I mean, I think kind of the moment that was that for me was, we talked about it recently, but hey guys, Okami's coming back.
That's true. Yeah, Chaotic is a trading card game. I was curious. I was I know I've heard of that somewhere, but I couldn't be sure.
Yeah, specifically it was the one with I'm pretty sure, Chad, I haven't actually been paying that close attention. It's been talked about on our Discord a little, but I haven't been paying super close attention. But I think that was the one with the PlayStation Eye compatibility.
Maybe? Personally, if we're talking IPs, I guess the one that I probably want... Oh, God. Let me see here. What IPs do I really enjoy that have not really gotten anything in a while? A long while. Well, Parasite Eve. I'll say Parasite Eve. Like I said, that has 3 games, novels and all that kind of stuff. But we haven't done anything with that since, the 2010s. I know there's a spiritual successor being made right now, but it's a spiritual successor. It's not an actual successor. What other... I don't know, rightly off the top of my head. Most, big IPs I follow usually have stuff, being in development or whatnot. I guess, another one, if we're talking video games, I would love, another Sleeping Dogs.
Oh, yeah, that would be one. I know they've had they've allegedly been developing a movie for like forever, but I would love another Sleeping Dogs video game. Your life is not complete until you've had a pork bun.
But yeah, Parasite Eve from Square Enix. Actually, Sleeping Dogs was also Square Enix. Now that I think about it, it went through some development hell, but they were the one who ended up with the IP.
I mean, I do believe I heard that. Obviously, a lot of people are crossing their fingers and being like, "Hell yeah!" I think Embracer is like spinning off a subgroup to be more interested in actively developing video game IPs that have been a little dormant, which is including like Tomb Raider and stuff, like several of the things they got from Square Enix spinning back out. And so I know some people, like I saw Elias Tufexis tweeting about, it obviously in reference to presumably Deus Ex. Because, like...
Oh, it has been a fucking hot minute since the Deus Ex, hasn't it?
It has, and we did, unfortunately, leave off with Mankind Divided, which was kind of a, clearly a middle beat in the trilogy kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, Chaotic was a 4Kids show in the early 2010s? Was it based off the card game, or is the card game based off it? I mean, was I wrong?
Yeah, it's a great question. I feel like the card game was a little earlier, but I'm not sure.
It was an American sci-fi made by 4Kids, blah, 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 blah. When did it originally come out? Ah, okay, yes, no. The show came out first, then the card game. Wild. Okay.
I mean, it probably would have been I'm thinking about like the mid-2010s. That would have been the period when everybody was like, let's try and be a trading card game.
Wait, nope, I'm wrong again. No, the trading card did come out first. It was 2006. So, yes, it was trading card game show, and then it lasted up until, like, 2012, and it fell off. All right. I knew it was a card game. I knew I wasn't being dumb.
No, actually, I think my point, like, double stands. Like, 2006, like, and then I think I remember, like I said, some kind of, like, other multimedia integration and stuff, but, like, the trading cards come and go in waves, gang, but I feel like the like, early to mid-2000s was, like, a big swell in card games. The first pass of like Harry Potter, Pokemon obviously Giga exploding. That was the first wave of Yu-Gi-Oh. The eternal discourse of the Yu-Gi-Oh that only exists in your head kind of a thing. But that was the era. I think Magic was doing okay in the early 2000s.
Magic was doing fine in the early 2000s.
They'd been around for like 10 years, so I think they were doing okay. They were probably doing some good sets, and they weren't Fortnite yet. I'm sure if Dallas was here, he could talk my ear off for an hour about it. But yeah, so it makes sense that it would upswell and then unfortunately would kind of die out in the economic recession. I think we're kind of like, we got a similar run of that with like, COVID boom in hobbies, and then now we're entering the phase of Clown World.
We are truly Clown World.
And, the question of the last, 12 months or so of the great terraforming and nobody knowing what the fuck to do. So, I think the price of eggs actually is apparently pretty cheap. But anyway, yeah, so like it's funny to think about those timings, but yeah, okay. So Chaotix was I did think it was a little earlier than the 2010s. So card game came out first. Sorry, my head is just trying to compose like a Calvin joke about like is it a mana system or a prize system or something? I don't got it. Come back to me with that, chat. Go ahead, Lucky.
No, but like usually like Lucky is one of those people I don't pine over nostalgia as much. I try not to, because that just sets you up for depression and disappointment. I try to enjoy the things I have now and, look forward to the things in the future. If I constantly am bemoaning what, I do not have, well, that's just needless negativity in my life. So I generally do not think about, oh man, I wish I could play this or that or stuff. So that's why I had to kind of think real hard on like what I would like. And my answer is, yeah, give me a badass, modern day Parasite Eve, because, guys, the minute Parasite Eve and Parasite Eve 2 becomes available on the PlayStation Store for whatever reason, I'm buying that and I'm streaming that for all y'all. And we're going to have an experience.
No, they're a wacky, wild time. Yeah, no, like that's kind of the thing that I think about this a lot. Like you said, like generally, obviously, preservation is not perfect, and there are some games that are tough to get out there, or were, well, I'll say this. If you're opining for games that were never localized and you are not yourself, Japanese or happen to like live near an import shop, well, that's not nostalgia, You never had that in the first place. But that can be a great chance to rediscover similar titles to things you like that you never made the jump. But what I was going to say is, like, usually you can access, some of the older things that you liked back in the past, maybe possibly as they were even. And obviously we like it when things are more accessible, but, if you're really interested in something, you can hopefully track it down and you can still check it out. And then, hopefully if they bring it back, something new. I think that, I don't know how interested Squeenix is in it, but I know that the question of Parasite Eve has come up a little bit. And they did at least give it a nod when it was, like, the anniversary a few, I want to say months, but it could have been weeks. Some period of time ago.
Not entirely sure, but I think we spent enough time on that. Thank you very much for that, and we're gonna move on it. This next one comes from Follower of Concealment with a stare. Oh, hey guys, just staring at my old gacha games as I try to tempt you to play it again. Well, anyways, question, is there any EOS gacha that you wish got a full game like Grand Blue Versus or in Relink or a sequel/remake? P.S. I really wish Tales of Cristoria got a full game. Sending good vibes, wah 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 wah, and have a good weekend. Yes, this question probably comes up from the subtitle in our mailbag. I'm back up to too many gacha games as I don't know what kicked it off. It was something. I don't know what it was, but Lucky's just went, I miss my gacha games, and I downloaded like a fuck ton of them again.
I think it was AL that broke the dam. They were like, they did something, and you're like, well, shit, now I gotta get to it, and then that was
no, it was Snowbreak, because Snowbreak
coming back. That's right.
Yes, Snowbreak finally came back after like being like 5 months in fucking horny jail, literally. And I got back and I downloaded it, and along with that, I'm just like, I guess I just got a hair up me bum, and I downloaded like a couple other things. Like I got back into it was Snowbreak. Azure Lane, Blue Archive at the time. I re-downloaded them. This is on top of me already playing Neverness to Everness and Nikke on the reg, along with Trick Cal, FGO, and now on top of that, Last Origin. Like, I'm playing all those gacha games right now. And right now, it's not that bad. Like, I don't know, like, if I, like, cracked the fucking code on something, I, like, actually just finished all my, like, daily stuff, like, earlier today. Like, just doing it a little bit here and there, but yes, no. That being said, I didn't pick up every old gacha game that, I liked and played. Like I said, there's still, like, Haze Reverb out there that I'd like. I'm not feeling bad going back to it. Outer Plane, also good. Not feeling going back. Uma Musume, not feeling like going back. Girls Frontline 2, not going back. So, even though I did pick up, like, a bunch of the old gacha games, I didn't pick them all up. Like, oh god, I know Girls Frontline 2 would probably destroy me right now.
Yeah.
No, if we were talking about like a gacha game that I miss or maybe wish got a standalone version or something, this actually made a bit of news not too long ago. It'd actually be Nier Reincarnation. Like if that had like a standalone game mode, story mode thing, I would download the fuck out of that. Because guess what? That's peak Yoko Taro storytelling, and I'm a whole bunch of crazy wildness. And while I did play it at launch for a little while, I did not actually, actually beat it. It's one of those games of like, I like this game. This game is neat. I don't got time for this game. Was there any other gacha games that like really that ended, I should say? Because there's still a lot of gacha games that I've quit that still are going. I'm just trying not to.
Yeah, that was the specific like EOS statement was kind of like, yeah, I don't know. Shit has nobody.
Like, and I know there's like a lot of like gacha games out there that I haven't even touched. And I'm trying to avoid. I'm looking at you, Brown Dust, too. I see you being horny on main. Ugh. Don't show me that, Omega. How dare you?
Oh, it's even worse. It's just you're lucky that nobody appears to have screen capped it. Helen, formerly DP 23, like has a scene where she like gives the commander lap pillow, and like that's a loading screen now. Is just like the still art from that, and I'm like, nobody screen capped that. I just got like flashbanged by that earlier, and I'm just like, damn. No, Ghost Frontline 2, I think knows what they're doing, but that's they
know what they're doing. I've seen their fucking breakdown of the details on female feet. They know exactly what's up.
They have taken very well to the transition to 3D, shall we say, gang. If you don't know what's going on with Girls Frontline 2, Their art team, their modeling team, very top notch, and also. I don't know how else to say it. They've got some cinematographers. There are people who know where to put your camera placement.
But, like, the only one that I can say for sure off the top of my head that, I sometimes think about would be, Near Incarnation. I probably would have put, like, Last Origin in there as well. Not because it hit end of service, just because we didn't have a global one. But that's changed. We have a global one. By the way, its UI and translation is shit. I'm still playing it, though. More on that later.
The way I heard you say it is that it's better than looking at everything on the wiki. When back in the day before gacha games got so much global release, there would be people who would be like, "Oh, it's easy. Just look at this translation guide. You can play the whole game in Japanese or Korean."
There is also like people who've done like an unofficial like English patch, but I'm like, I don't want to fuck with that, man. I'll just deal with horrible AI translation because it's totally AI translated and not gone through an editor. I cannot.
Probably.
I've said this once. I've said this again. I do not care if you use AI for translation. Please have a human go after it. Go, edit it. That's all I want.
I don't actually know. I don't know the difference between a large language model and then what Google Translate was before we learned what large language models were. Like, those are probably the same technology, just at different levels of maturity. But you still need to edit Google Translate. Like,
yes.
You can't. First of all, ChatGPT can't write for you. I know it says it can write for you. It's lying to you because what ChatGPT does is it tells you what you want to hear. Anyway, that aside.
Ooh, that reminds me. I saw like a very great.
It can't write for you, so that means that you got to edit it because you can't tell it to translate and then also tell it to spice it up. It won't work.
There was a fucking here it is. Where is the part? Sorry, there was a I came across it on Twitter the other day, but I actually really like this thing that let's see here. If I pipe in take 2, can I find the clip? Well, everything's going off about fucking GTA right now. That's not what I'm looking for. Well, I'll find it up. I'll post this page here, but basically the CEO of Take-Two basically said that while he thinks AI is a super cool and useful tool, it is not something that can create something new. AI, by the very definition, uses data sets from the past, so AI only looks backwards. Human creativity looks forward. Like, God, I wish I could find the clip of it because I thought it was.
No, I think I've seen a transcription of the quote, of what you're talking about. I'm pretty sure before, yeah, and I think it's a really good one. Like, it's the best way I heard about it, when a lot of early glooping out about AI was happening. Before, I think there was a large amount of pushback, which some people still find surprising. But, like, the best way I heard it phrased was, people thinking about, like, hopefully we live in a time when AI is the worst it's ever going to be, right?
Yeah.
It's new, it's unregulated, it's schlocky. So, like, I think it's kind of the same vibe about, like, what he's talking about of, like, no, listen, this thing is a tool that, like, we're not gonna forget. As much as people joke about, the abominable intelligence or the Butlerian jihad, which I also want to be a little bit like, I don't want to. First of all, people misuse the term LARPer all the time now as a way as a substitute for tourist, but also, like, most people on Twitter wouldn't know what the Butlerian jihad was if Villeneuve wasn't making Dune movies right now. But anyway, like, people like to arguably LARP about the Butlerian jihad, but, like, we're not going to forget about LLMs and this kind of, like, Gen AI technology. So the parts that are neat we can utilize later. But yeah, I think he's got you've got his name here, Saros Zelnick.
Yes.
It's the data sets and everything kind of squished together is like, it can only look at the past where the data is from, but it cannot be used to at least the way current models are, they can't really be used to predict the future. They are not predictive algorithms,
No. And I think that's, like, something very important to say. It's like AI and LLMs are very it's like, well, like, it is one of those things that, like, I'm still, like, on my horse talking about people who, like, put in a prompt into a fucking image generator. You're not an artist. You're commissioning a fucking program to do your thing. You're not an artist. But using like AI and LMMs for like translation, like speeding up process and whatnot, I've always been for that. It's like,
and I think that we're like not fully, and I feel like I want to be careful about slippery sloping, because there are a lot of companies that have invested a lot of money that's not real, but eventually someone will ask for back. But they've invested them into this, AI future about promising you the world. Unfortunately, a lot of I think what this most recent, said a couple of years in this technology boom has shown us is that the people who do like tech startup companies are, they're where they are because they're psychos. Like, I don't know if
I'm sorry.
Sam Altman, like, he's either such a snake oil salesman that he will say anything to get you to buy the bit, or, like, I don't know how that guy functions. He's out here, like, being like, oh yeah, I asked ChatGPT how to take care of my baby and how to make food and stuff, and I'm just like, hello? Are you sentient? Are you alive?
That's crazy.
Yeah, like I said, so, like, he's either a psycho or he's, he never turns off trying to sell you this technology. Neither of which is very good. But one of which I think I understand better. But yeah, like, we're reaching a phase where, like, AI seemed to be everywhere. Everybody thought it was neat. We all thought it was neat. Like, I remember the DALL-E days, like, when it was cute that it would make, fucked up images in like, 9, like, 3x3 blocks that were, like, 144 pixels on a side. That was funny. And then it kind of, like, got everywhere, and it was like, oh, this technology has been brewing for a while, and it's producing art. How is it producing art? Well, without asking anybody, the AI companies, took every image that's ever been posted on the internet and crunch it through their machine without asking you how you feel about that, and without, I don't know, building a system of protection for, like, if somebody asks the machine that clones art, hey, can you clone me this person in specific's art style? And other tricky bits like that. But I think with, like, there's been some court rulings about, like, not purely AI-generated artwork cannot be, so far, not a rigorous test, but it's been denied qualifying for, like, copyrights and trademarks because it you can't, if the machine generates it, you can't point to a singular, creator, a rights holder, sort of a thing. So, like, yeah, there's a lot of that discussion going on. And like I said, I think we should be wary about slippery sloping because there are still these companies out there that want to make, infinite money. But a lot of general vibes seem to be settling into the comfortable of, like I see a lot of I can say it. A lot of, like, game development companies and media properties who I feel like I can trust, right? They've earned my trust. They've made good products that have not seemed to be, super bad or exploitive or anything lately. They're saying stuff like, yeah, we have, we play around with all the AI stuff, but, like, we've used it, we can't trust it to do all the work for us, kind of a thing. Like, Patron Chat's talking about, like, Capcom's talking about, automating busy work and stuff, or trying to smooth stuff over with flow of dev time. I think there's still some questions to be asked where, like, some of the steps people are trying to automate are maybe, like, you got to be careful about, because some of those are the kind of make work you usually put, beginners on when you make new hires. But hopefully we can build a workflow where, like, no, the machine process automates some of that, and if you get new hires, you can put them on to newer, more exciting stuff that, they actually are qualified for because you hired them, Yeah. But I definitely agree with, like, the sentiment here to cycle back to the point you originally grabbed, that, like, there are people out there trying to tell you that the AGI revolution is right around the corner, and it's not. The state where these machines can produce, generalized thoughts and feelings kind of a thing feels like forever away. It may be entirely impossible, who knows? But that means that you cannot rely on it to have, like, the next cool idea, right? Something truly unique and fresh. And I know people are like, there's nothing new under the sun, but you can also get weird new unique takes.
All right, then. With that, let's move on. This next one comes from Monster Girl Aficionado, who says, Dear Lucky and Omega, no question this week, just sending good vibes. Wah, 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 wah. And wishing you well. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you. I don't got much more to say to that, so we're going to keep going swiftly on. This one starts with, in case you're not reading last week's missed mail, joke's on you, bud. The deadline is when we start the show. If you post it after that, it's not missed. You were just too late.
Yeah, there were a couple of messages that came in last week, either like, I think they were both like after we'd recorded the show when I was literally editing it.
Very strange timing.
Yeah.
But you reposted it, and that's okay. This comes from Arts Enthusiast Returns from Their Slumber. They say, hello, Lucky and Omega. With the return of reruns, I was wondering how you usually interact with them in gacha games. I used to reread the story, but I've recently started skipping to save on time. But I still reread the recent FGO events, partially because the time gates prevent me from rushing to the end. I wish you both well wishes and look forward to Lucky's upcoming Blue Archive festivals. Yes, it's actually quite funny. So I missed Summer Seiya, which was, Summer Small Fox. I curse myself for that. But I come back just in time to get Agent Rio, who is my third or fourth favorite character in this damn game. I'm like, yes, the stars were aligned. Perfect. Do I have enough gems? Yes. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Also, I just did they're having an event where you can get a bunch of free rolls, so you can get a bunch of free Elegant, which I can use the 5-star Super Rio right out the gate. It's going to be great. It's awesome. I love it. But on the subject of the reruns, man, Lucky's been full on skipping. I read this stuff before. I remember it. I remembered my feelings. Like, it's one of those things that I tell people all the time. You can only experience a story for the first time once. And I got that hit. I got that payoff. Going over it again, I'm not necessarily gonna have, like, a different time about it, so I'm not that concerned about it. So, skip game, activate.
Yeah, I think for the first rerun we did, I reread the first couple chapters because I was just like, I gotta see my boy Steggy. But after that, it was kind of like, oh shit, I need to work on this. And it's the same with, like, this event where I'm like, I have just been skipping the story straight up because I'm like, no, I remember this, but I need to clear the chapters, which I know there are some people in the audience who won't feel the same way. But to me, the gameplay is the more time-consuming make-work part of FGO. Like, yes, when we're doing story chapters and I'm fucking, line reading bit by bit and like typing notes as we go, yeah, that's a little slow. My reading speed is still genuinely one of my, unique special me qualities. Everybody's got one. I'm a phenomenally fast reader. If we weren't taking notes, the rate at which I could clear FGO stories, insane. So, like, that's never been the slog for me. It's always the, finish a story chapter, go, oh shit, I have a mission to kill, 15 Scrimblows. I have 0 Scrimblows killed. Which node gives me the most Scrimblows? Thankfully, we now have the little, pictures that let you know about mission targets and stuff. But FGO wasn't always that way. That's a quality of life, baby. So yeah, for Lilum Harlot, I'm just fucking skipping story because I'm so behind because once again I have fucking whiffed on Draco. Pray for me, chat.
Pray for him.
I'd consider also throwing money in the bowl.
Alright. Well, I think we've said enough on that, so we're gonna move on. This next one comes from Dave back from Japan. He says, howdy guys, I managed to find a bunch of Fate merch. Nice. Mostly keychains and a really expensive figs. Managed to get a used Arturia fig for cheap. Also found a Fate Zero t-shirt. Sick.
Nice.
More about the explicit material I was telling you about last time. While it's true some places had curtains blocking it off, many stores had it right in the open. Many convenience stores had kid magazines and the new mags in the same section. One store had the top shelf kid stuff and bottom 3 adult mags. Some places with curtains didn't block off everything. A few in Don Quixote's were like that. There was a lot of porn stores and main walking areas too. It was definitely a culture shop for me and my friends. Trying not to be judgmental, but having adult material so close to stuff made for kids definitely made me uncomfortable. Well, unfortunately, my friend, you're being judgmental. I hate to say it. Well, no, I don't hate to say it. I love to say it. You're being judgmental. Because strictly speaking, this is a difference in mentality between, Japan and, the US. Like, despite how, sexually liberating we may seem to be, the US as a whole country, and our teaching ethos is incredibly prudish. I mean, incredibly prudish.
Well, and we see a lot of that going on right now. Recently, if people didn't know, there was a mini controversy when Kickstarter said that they were gonna block all adult content off it, and this raised a lot of a hullabaloo. And they did come back and make an official statement and kind of reverse their course, being like, okay, we're sorry, we missed. We realized there was a gap between our TOS and the gap of payment processors. And so we tried to close the gap by meeting the payment processor, and you guys didn't like that, and we're sorry. So by the way, PayPal, Stripe, MasterCard, Visa, etc., they're still in their bullshit. You should probably consider... Sorry, I shouldn't joke about sending them a pipe bomb, but I was going to do the verbal strike here and be like, consider blowing up their phone lines.
No. Like I said, on the internet, let me specify this. The U.S. is extremely free and liberating. In person, though, in actual social gatherings, still American opponents. We are brought up to be, how the way I want to put this? Have a sense of shame about the body. In physical spaces. And this is like where a big disconnect comes from. Because online, where you don't have to worry about, the judgment of others, your anonymous and stuff, you can say whatever the fuck you want. People usually become a lot more, sexually liberated and whatnot. In person, though, we are not that way. People, we're awkward and we mind our P's and Q's a lot. Japan, funnily enough, because they have such a strict and rigid social structure and construct about, people, places, their roles in the community, their roles in job, the roles in the house and family. This has been able to basically make them look at things of erotic content and go, yeah, no, that's perfectly fucking normal. It is in its place that it's supposed to be. There's nothing weird about this. They do not find, erotic content to be something that's weird and out of place and shameful. It is what it is.
I mean, if you run down the street holding it over your head, that's probably weird, but that would be weird here too, it's the kind of thing where I guess like you said, the material itself, they kind of meet in the middle, where I think overall Japan is still a much more conservative culture than America, and a lot of people forget this, but it's that thing where because there are, strict social rules and face, they can do stuff that seems like it's more risque, but it's just oh, well, it's all, and I was actually something I was going to bring up earlier was going to say that also, it's all censored. They have censorship laws. You can't publicly display it without the pixels and the black bars and stuff. So
yeah, no, they're actually talking about increasing the censorship too. So.
Which is funny because I've seen a few people, yammering on Twitter about the reverse. It's time to demosaic. I don't think that'll happen anytime soon, but it is kind of a thing where because it does have the kind of those mosaic barriers, and you can be we can be well, intellectually the mosaic doesn't do anything, but legally, it does stuff. And like I said, I might agree that seems from just a purely consumer standard, something oh yeah, kids magazines up top, adult magazines down low. I'm that does seem a little weird, right? That seems that's not the normal. Oh, what's God? There's a word for this, but I don't remember it. It's the flow of usability or the process for the customer, right? That seems that's
actually, yeah, no, it should probably be kids on the bottom, adult on top. Kids are short.
Yes, exactly. That seems that's not set up right, and that can also kind of trigger the squeamishness response for other things too, where when you start to stack those back up, I mean, and again, saying stuff seeing I think I did talk about this when this came up a couple weeks ago or whatever, but talking about seeing oh yeah, we saw porn shops in main walking areas. Again, I have been on major United States highways. I have seen the billboards. I mean, they don't show anything in the billboard, but what the billboard is advertising. Live nude girls.
Yeah, and it's not even that. I don't know, depending on, but you can drive down places. You can find, if you see a Lovers, a fucking a Hollywood Hustler, a fucking White Castle, those are porn shops. I
mean, hell, can you get? I mean, it's part of the gag, but you can get stuff in a Spencer's Gifts in a mall.
Yeah, they usually have a small selection of porn tubs, but they're usually just there because they just want to show you the funny shit. No, you might not think about it because you might not partake in those stores and stuff, but we have those sort of stores and stuff on major intersection and whatnot too. They're not all seedy, seedy backwood shops and stuff. Trust me, I've been in many a Lovers and
I think it's
Hollywood
just the main thing, which is just because our kind of barriers of what's in the public are different. Like I said, in Japan, it's the serious stuff is censored. So you can probably put some covers of some things, some DVDs or some magazines or whatever out there and have them be censored and be no, we understand the social roles, the way this works. We're not going to acknowledge this. And honestly, this is the thing I've noticed. If you want to think about stuff like that, I think actually we had a conversation about this. Was it related to this question earlier, or was it a different one? But we were talking about shit like Crayon Shin-chan, right?
Yeah,
that's a kid show in Japan.
We could not.
In America, we couldn't bring that show over here and not make it an Adult Swim equivalent show because what Japanese people think is kids can find acceptable humor is very different, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not going to say, oh, well, they'd probably just think it's funny if the kids could see the porn magazines, but it's like, it's a different context, right?
Yeah. Like I said,
in
Japanese
America,
is raised on different values and mindsets than we are. Like, I'm not going to say that the Japanese are better or we are better. We're just different. It's like, and if you want to be all like, oh, it's bad for everyone's like development, I would like to remind you that Japan is like one of the safest countries in the world. Has like a stupid, and I mean a stupid low crime rates. So like, again, just because, the porn's out in the fucking open doesn't mean, people are fucking going crazy over it. Again, this is what we talk about with the rigid social structuring and whatnot.
No, like Japan has has their handful of social problems, nobody. Hey, guess what? They haven't made the perfect society yet. We haven't found it. We haven't figured it out. We've been doing this for about 10,000 years, I think. We haven't figured it out. There are people on Twitter with Roman statue profile pictures who tell you should go back to being a Paleolithic hunter-gatherer. Let me tell you, that sucked too. You know how much fucking work that is? Sucks ass.
Oh yeah, no, trust me. The fucking Japan's like ultra-conservative thing, while it has its perks, also has its downsides. It's like, you can't have everything. As much as people try to say, oh yes, if we just adopt this particular set of government, we'll have everything. No, it doesn't work that way. No matter what, you will have humans in there, and they will be fucking dumb.
We've yet to build a system that's entirely idiot-proof.
No, we have not.
God knows we've done our best, and I think that there are some resiliency going out there. But yeah, it's there's a lot of stuff going on there, and like I said, you want to talk about like my personal preference, like. Yeah, I'd probably want a little curtain because I don't know. In America, I think I would be embarrassed to, walk up, grab a dirty mag from behind the counter, and throw that on the main store. But that's because, like Lucky said, we are a more reserved culture, but also America is kind of a judgmental culture of like, not to say that Japan won't gossip and shame you, right? But I feel like it's a different context of just like, well, it's there, The guy behind the counter can't acknowledge that you've got it. We don't want to break the bonds of, social standing between customer and
also,
seller.
now that I think about it, I've actually seen a lot of like convenience stores that had porn mags out in the open. Now that I think about it over here, I haven't seen it recently though. Also, probably because I haven't looked because I have the internet.
Yeah, I mean, recently, no. Usually they do have them behind the counter, same places they have, like, the cigarettes. There's, like, again, I think it might just be the difference in presentation. Because we are not censored in this country, you have to cover them up, like, externally. So, like, usually they put the little...
over them?
Yeah, you put the little thing over it, the little sleeve. Like, if you have a shop that's about that kind of thing, you have to have, like, blacked out windows, right?
Yeah.
So, like, it's different vibes. In America, it's just as concealed, I think, or rather, it's time for my favorite word, chat. The illusion of concealment. There's no actual tangible difference in the content between we hid this with a plastic sleeve so you can't see the naughty bits, and the naughty bits are mosaiced out on the cover. Physically, there's no difference. You know what's going on, but we present to the world that it's hidden so that we don't get in trouble. But if you think of those two things as different, you might get a little cognitive dissonance, which seems to be what our friend Dave here has experienced, of just kind of like, I'm not used to seeing this stuff, kind of hanging out there. And it's like, well, it's because in America, it's probably hidden in a different way. Like, to the people in Japan, it's hidden enough. Because, like, again, like, if it was uncensored and it was just out of the out, there'd be trouble. That'd be a problem. But, because it does have that barrier of the censorship laws, it can be not out in the open and out there. Like I said, I personally agree with just the sentiment of just like, oh yeah, I saw some places where, again, kids magazines were like up high and then adult magazines, were down low. And I'm just like, that does just sound wrong. Like, if I'm playing Convenience Store Simulator, in my brain, right, I'm just like, I wouldn't do it that way. That would bother me. That would bother me a lot. That's not right. That's not the proper order of operations. The kids are down low.
I'm gonna say, lucky is that person who would just grab a magazine off the counter and just slap it on the counter and look the fucking female attendant straight in the eye as I was purchasing it. I give no fucks. It's like, Lucky has bought sex toys and magazines and condoms.
You can tell Lucky doesn't have social anxiety. I, for many years, struggled to, order at fast food restaurants. I'm over it now, but...
Now, Lucky's an introvert, and I do think I probably have, like, depression, but probably not social, and probably, like, some regular-ass anxiety, but not social anxiety.
Lots of people have general anxiety. Hey, I think humans are just anxious creatures by nature.
Yeah.
God, it reminds me of all those discussions. I don't know how true it is, but that, like, it reminds me of, like, a thing I heard, which was, like, you know, what is it, like, talking about, like, nightmares is, like, an atavistic thing, like, you know, being, you know, people have anxiety or fear. You have nightmares about things coming in through your window because you're afraid of, like, predators attacking you, like, out of the side. Whereas if you have, like, fears of monsters under your bed, that's, like, you know, fear of being up in the trees and they're going to climb up and get you. Like I said, I don't know if that's supported or that's probably just a theory for trying to explain dreams and nightmares because, once again, we don't understand how brains work. Dreams? Who fucking knows? I think the only way we can prove that dreams exist is that people talk about them.
I had the most weird dream. It was like one particular moment, but I remember this so vividly. I'm glad you mentioned this. It was only a few days ago, and I'm in bed. I'm having a very bad sleep, but I started dreaming. I'm dreamed that I got sucked, like I sank into my bed, and then something laid on top of me, like to make me more comfortable, and I saw the fucking hair of whatever this is fall over my face, and I said out loud, I swear to God, I said this out loud, thanks, sleep paralysis demon. Because I couldn't move at the same time. And I just woke up after that, I'm just like, Lucky, what the fuck?
He's just got full circle. We wrapped all the way around. You were indeed visited by a mare, by a sleep paralysis demon, and you were just like, thanks, man.
It was so weird and surreal, but it was just like, it was so surreal when I actually said it, that's what made me go, wait a fucking minute. I was like, no, come back!
Space Marine 2. I was just all...
This was comfy as fuck!
I was glorbing out about that, I think.
Well, yeah, no, so Lucky totally got a visit from a sleep paralysis demon, and I thanked them, and they fucked off, and I'm very upset about that.
And that's why I said, we don't understand dreams.
No, we really don't. I have no idea what caused that particular... Well, this is what I like to tell people. Fucking, dreams are just AI-generated content without a prompt. That's what I tell people now.
I do think that is actually the current best theory for how that's supposed to work. Is just like your brain is a really complex organ that's full of information, you know, memories, dreams, sensations, etc. And when you're resting, you know, your brain needs those neurons to do something sometimes. So it just fires through random stuff that's in there. That's why you will find dreams that are about stuff. That's probably why some people have recurring dreams or dreams that are about similar themes. Like, I don't know what it says about humans as a society that a lot of us have these dreams, but there's probably some commonality to, like, why do people have dreams about their teeth falling out? It's probably because we all experience our teeth falling out at some point, and it's a little fucked up. It's fucked up when your teeth fall out. So people have, you know, dreams of mouth stuff.
Mouth stuff!
Dreams of being lost in the woods. Lots of dreams about being chased. Honestly says a lot about our society that, I think it's been a few years, but occasionally I still have school dreams. I was going to say, I still have dreams about two things, about school and classes specifically, and, hey, Chad, if you're out there in the comments, give me a hit back if you feel this. I, for years and years, after I finished college, had basically stress dreams about, did I sign up for all the college courses I needed? I had dreams and dreams about, you know, did I sign up for my classes? Have I got my schedule locked in? Like I said, it is luckily been several years since I've been hit with one of those fully, but, like, God, that says so much about that experience. No, I didn't really have a lot of oversleeping dreams, but, like, papers, going to class, and signing up for classes were always, like, recurring for me.
Right, tight. But with that, we will move on. This next one comes from a hunter hunting for the next big thing. Dear Dragoon, Omega, and Samurai Lucky, what's up? Not much, what's up with you? You both doing fine? No. Hopefully you're both enjoying the return of Dracomus. I am skipping shit and trying to get these missions done. I am behind like a week on this event. Don't talk to me. So
that's all you need to know from me.
So I was thinking the other day, what if Fate revisited the OG Fate / Epoch design documents and actually decided to make an MMO for the next big Fate title? I personally have two ideas how the MMO classes could work. The traditional thing of having a customizable agency with different servants being your different MMO classes, Or the alternative where your customized MC can transform into different servant classes for their MMO classes, a bit like Prisma Ilia. For example, your Dragoon class would have cosmetics from different servants that fit your archetype you can quit from like some Lancers. Which of these two approaches do you like more, or do you have your own idea for handling MMO classes and potential Fate MMO? That's something that they probably should, like, they probably could, like, revisit at some point, making a Fate MMO, but I don't know who would handle that.
Yeah, I don't know what studio you would talk to.
No, personally, I like the idea of, having your customizable mage MC right there, and then the classes being basically your the servants, not being like classes, because I wouldn't want to use classes because I wouldn't want to lock someone into particular servants. Because, like I said, we're past 2025. We are past the days of just people having to have one servant or special classes. We can get a little funky here. We can have, I would actually probably like to have something that's more akin to like, what is a good system? Like, how do I explain this? But basically, you would have servants represent like specific attacks and whatnot, and combos and strings. So you could like probably like equip like so many servants at once, and each of them have like their own combos and stuff that you can use. You can swap between them as the mages freely. So you can, load up on, maybe being like super attack focused, maybe being super defense focused, maybe being super support and healing focused, or some sort of mix between, I'd say probably like 4. 4 seems to be a magic number. So you pick like 4 servants. They each have their own abilities and attacks and, passive and bonuses. And probably you as a mage have some little things here or there to, provide like some buff or support and whatnot. Like I said, that's one of the things of like, because the thing is like making yourself like turn into a servant, I think, because I think that ultimately will limit the character as you say, as it were, because everything would have to conform to the character. By making it so that you can pick and choose the servants you want, you can get a lot more variety in what you want to do and get fiddly with different combinations and stuff. This is one of the things that like I enjoy a lot in my games, is when you can make a synergy between characters. This is one of the reasons why I like Last Origin so much, is because a lot of the units in there are built to play off of other units in your thing, so you can get a cascade of effects going if you play things right. It's just not all tits and ass in there, although it's mostly tits and ass, I won't lie. So just having the mages turn into the servant just seems a little too singular and forward and not very interesting. It's very conventional, if I could say.
Yeah, I was going to say that, like, I think that, from my experience, man who's played one MMO, this is giving me Final Fantasy 14 vibes, but, like, that is the 14 Jobstone type shit would be the class cards. Yeah. Like, that's very convenient, and obviously for 14 that really works because Final Fantasy is a franchise that is built around this sort of class fluidity. No, seriously, how many games does Final Fantasy have where you cannot either pick your classes, change your classes, or upgrade your classes? It's very rare in mainline titles. Like, even in games where characters are unique and are not necessarily jobbed, they're not employed, you usually have some level of flexibility, like, starting with like the materia system and stuff. Usually you get to customize these people. Whereas, I don't think Tor is a better comparison at all. Those, like, in Tor, each class is a completely separate storyline that never touches, which, like, is cool, but that's a lot more work. And I don't think that's necessarily the way to go either, because, like, that's a lot of work for the team to be, like, have, you get assigned Lancer, and then, you do the Lancer storyline, blah, blah, blah. Like, Lucky's talking about something that would probably be closer to, like, I mean, I don't want to straight up say, like, a Pokemon, because there's not actually a Pokemon like this, but, like, something that is more like that, and I don't know if there is a good actual MMO analogy for it. But, yeah, something where, like, you can build the roster where, obviously, you as a master probably have a set of master skills and abilities, because that is actually, like, usually a pretty key part of Fate. Like, the master and the servant are two halves of a relationship kind of a thing. And, like, honestly, the Master of Chaldea being, like, a dog shit mage is, like, a major plot point for how this game is written. Even we get to bust out our mystic codes pretty regularly in stories these days, but like, connecting with a servant and then growing your roster of rogue servants or servants you're allied with, because again, like you said, it's FGO's already happened, fucking Extella's already happened, technically, Extella, you have a whole faction, thanks to the regalia, like, working with you. Like, I mean, that's already kind of like what the plot of Extra was supposed to be, right? It's just that it was a linear RPG dungeon crawler, But that could just as easily have been massively multiplayer, right? You all just play the students in the school. Like, if you wanted something a little snappier, you could do it, Battle Royale style, where, like, you only have one servant for a run and then move on. But no, like, an actual, like, MMO story of, like, engaging with the environments and stuff, you'd be able to mix and match some elements, and go together. And I think you could do MMO style stuff. You just need the right setup. But yeah, I think that yes, the using a multiple servants and kind of collaging them together, like maybe it's like a stance based thing where like you switch who your active servant is, so you can like you said, you can do different movesets and abilities. Sorry, excuse me, and you can like pivot on the fly. Pivot. Like, I do like turn-based games, but, like, in my head, like, there's such an importance to the flow and action in Fate that, Well, Axe, I feel like the vision that's in your head is you don't have servants at all. You're only talking about the masters and stuff. It's like, no, of course you get multiple... Yeah. First of all, I know MMOs have multiple massive player elements, but I think the correct way to do a lot of story stuff is also just not to acknowledge other players at all. Like, when you're doing MSQ... you don't see other people. So it don't matter if they have multiples of the same servants. It matters when you, like, group up and do content. And depending on what that content is, that can actually be something more meaningful or impactful. But, like, I'm thinking about it, like, I saw, like, I would see other players when I did play Tor. I would see other players running around field zones, but, like, did it fucking matter that they were also playing, Inquisitors or Warriors or whatever? No, because when I do a cutscene with BioWare dialogue wheels, it doesn't matter. Like, they're elsewhere, and Fate would be the same way. Like, you would not acknowledge probably as you processed your personal story, main quests or side quests, and other players and whether or not they have servants would only matter when you do big raid content, and then you just make up whatever the fuck you want because it's Fate and there are no rules. Dungeons are time-spaced crunchling anomalies.
Crunchling. Our vocabulary is amazing, Omega.
Well, listen, it's almost 11 at night. We're having, actually, I think I was right to make sure to do the episode and get through the mailbag. We're getting a good airtime out of this. But we did watch Monty Python's Life of Brian, and now we're here. Like, that I think there's a difference between a Apocrypha style Fate MMO, especially like technically if you want to get into the nitty gritty. The original pitch for the Apocrypha MMO was, as it ended up in the light novels, it was a faction based MMO. Which is like one of those things I think you got to be careful about balancing the player base around, kind of a thing. Like, I feel like that's getting less and less popular these days. But like that could come up with a lot of excuses to do, PvP or other driven content, or to have, enemies on both sides that you got to take care of. But like, if you're talking about a Fate MMO, yes, that would, the fantasy would be the players are the masters and they collect servants, so you get to hang out with them and possibly smooch them a little.
Smooching.
Just a little bit for fun. You got to have a my room. And like I said, I think for ease of play, the class card system would be like MMOs like 14, where you can just easily just switch yourself, and like that would be a good way to include lots of fan favorite characters as homages, because you would just switch movesets basically, but that doesn't let you do the thing where you build the relationship with your servants, which is again part of the mystique, part of the player fantasy. I think that's a separate question from a Nasuverse MMO, because I think you could do a secret world style, like, urban fantasy bullshit with just the lore Nasu has written for, like, the Mages Association, all that other stuff. I think that is technically a separate game from a Fate MMO, which would absolutely be, like, well, I mean, we'll put it this way. I would need, Kotamine's voice to be talking about Seihai Sensu. You need that in the intro movie. That's all I'm saying. If it's a Fate branded MMO, it needs to have that kind of feel. But this is why video games are complicated, and not all video games are for all people. And I do honestly kind of think that, like, part of the reason why they ended up, like, cutting the MMO stuff and all that, that, like, it was really complicated for them to like, tell a relatively linear Fate-style story, with players and players having servants and that kind of a thing going on, and then, like, do your normal Fate bullshit twists and turns. Because they were pitching that in, like, the early 2000s or the mid-2000s. That would have been complicated as hell.
Oh, it definitely would have been. Anyway, let us move on it. This next one comes from that one person who sometimes exists. Dear Lucky Omega, no question this week. Just wanted to point out that it's been a year and a half since part 1 of the Lost Belt 6 recap. This is why I look at Omega. Came out and there's been no part 2 or 3, and it's been almost 3 years since the chapter itself was relived. In the time that has been uploaded, Lost Belt 7, both Order Call 1 and 2 have been released on the EN servers. Just wanted to point out how long it's been. Anyway, have a good weekend and wishing you well. Are you just out here to destroy Omega's day?
Why you gotta do me like that?
Like
I know it's been a long time. It's a pain in the ass. I've talked about it before. It's a real pain in the ass, dude. The reason why I didn't slap out so easily was because I didn't record audio for the middle chunk of the Lost Belt, so it's like the actual meat of the episode is I have to, like, download the stream archive and, like, export that audio and edit it, and it's probably going to sound a little bit like shit no matter what, because I'm sure it'll have the bed music in it and stuff. So it's a big complicated, thing to edit around. It's I think I timed it out before. It's been a while since I added it all up. It's like, I think 8 hours is technically lowballing it. It's a lot of audio to work through. But it doesn't feel right to, just skip it. So it's like we're in that phase where it's like, yeah.
Well,
yes, I should open the project file and work on it, but, like, I know it's a lot of work.
Well, unfortunate. I will say this. If you don't get started on it, you won't get finished with it.
Well, that's the funny part. I did get started on it, but you're right. If you don't work on it, it don't get done.
But that's where we're on that, so we're going to move on. This next one comes from Dragon Mom 0, Draco and Duchess Queen 1. Interesting. Howdy, Lucky and Mega. Hope you are having a good week. Question, since y'all are currently running 40k, my question is to y'all, what is your favorite Xenos? Oh, favorite Xenos? Well, I'm not super familiar with all of the Xenos species in 40k. I have come to a basic understanding of a few of them, and a few of them being Orcs, Tau, and Tyranids. I will say I do like all 3 of those. Honestly, thinking about it, I don't think there's anyone who dislikes Orcs. I think everyone thinks Orcs are great. Everyone's just like, look at these funny little green guys trying to eat my face. I love them. I do definitely know that more people are divided on, like, Tau and Tyranids, but I think I have to say, I think I like the Tau the most. Solely for because they're so technologically advanced, and I love big technology. They got big rail cannons, battle suits, lasers, missiles, drones, AI. I love it. Tyranids I actually do really like too, just because I like swarm tactics. I think that's cool as well. Just, why have a battle plan where I can just send 8,000 dudes at you? That's my battle plan. I love that. But no, I think Tau would probably be my best. I'm not familiar with, like, Necrons or any of the fucking space elves, nor whatever weird app one-off species they might have in there. Am I forgetting any of the major factions? I don't think so.
No, there's not actually that many, Xenos factions. There's a lot of Imperium factions, then obviously Chaos.
Yeah, I don't count
Chaos. You hit a few of the major ones.
I know there's, like, a bunch of, like smaller, like, civilizations. Like, I know, like, the Kroot is one. Kroot mercenaries. I remember hearing about those.
The Tau have a couple of adjuncts, the Kroot, the Vespids, who are wing boys.
Yeah, but, no, I like the Tau. Like, honestly, if I had, like, understood 40k more than that, I probably would have, like, see if I could have played a Tau and Rogue Trader instead of Frack. But now I'm locked into Frack, and unfortunately, Frack is here to stay.
Until he, explodes violently in the glory of Gork and Mork.
Yes.
Which I'm not going to say can't happen, because as we've seen from playing Deathwatch, like, X likes to joke that, like, one of my Deathwatch encounters that you guys completely snowball would have completely eaten the Rogue Trader team. And it's only half a joke. But yeah, so, no, and there's, like, a complete supplement for it. God knows that, like, in addition to all the items in it, there's also a decent effort. Oh, I don't know if the ammo would have too much. I would have just, fired my plasma pistol on maximal.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure Frag could have taken him.
The Kellermorph would have probably just shot you all, but that. I did literally design that guy because the whole point of that guy is, like, Gene Stealers sometimes can produce a freak mutant who's got a big iron on his hip, and it's like, no, the big iron part isn't part of his genetic mutations.
Oh, is that how you spell Kellermorph? Oh, I was completely
No.
off. I thought it was spelled like.
No, there's no H in it. There's not a double L.
Ah.
But you were close.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's no H, 1 L, 2 E's.
Okay.
It's probably as in the Greek word kaleri, as in fast.
Oh. Ah, yeah.
Because I think most of them have some, like, Greek or Roman, like... I mean, it's imperial names for stuff, so it's all higher low Gothic, but yeah, no. Anyway, you joked about, like one-off stuff, and I was gonna be like... that was gonna be my gag. I was gonna be like, oh yeah, we're out here, we're standing for, like, anybody big fans of the Hrud? Or maybe the Zotes? Anybody? Nah, it's a joke. Those guys are obscure. There are probably some diehards who don't even know what the fuck a Hrud is. Zotes, at least, I think, have had, like, a mini one-off. The Zotes are, like, lizard centaur people, and they've had, like, some one-off minis. The Hrud are, like, a fucking, like, Star Trek enemy. They're, like... Yeah, that's the Time Mora. That is the Hrud axe. They're, like, chronovores. They're weird. I think they're mostly in, like, old lore and, like, they're in, like, the rogue trader background for, like, FFG, because that's the kind of shit you deal with those guys. But yeah, no, I mean, like, honestly, I think the tower also kind of neat. And specifically, because I do have a little more specific knowledge than even Lucky has, I can say, I think in particular, the Farsight enclaves are double neat. Those are renegade Tau who realize that, the ethereals could be lying to them. They would sacrifice my men's lives for nothing. Also, our armor is painted red. Do their battlesuits go 3 times faster than a regular battlesuit? I don't know. Maybe if they were fighting orcs. Sorry, I'm just thinking of, like, Mobile Suit Gundam, but it's orcs versus Tau.
God, I was thinking about that.
His big mech goes 3 times faster than a regular mech. Ah!
No, but we probably have some.
That's got to be on the Discord site. Actually, no. I did have one more thought to say, which is that if I was to probably play there are many, many varieties of armies you could be playing, but if I was to play a Xenos army, it would be Eldari, and probably specifically what they're calling Craftworld Eldar these days, which is Asuryani. Like, I don't mind elves, and I am kind of a sucker for doomed dying races with the weight of ages on there. Plus, they do get some cool units: Pathfinders, Fire Dragons, Howling Banshees, Warp Spiders. I had some fun playing some Eldar units in Dawn of War, where you could actually do you did do the little baby team up where, like, because the Farseer is like, I foresee great doom. We must help out the Blood Ravens against the orcs and the chaos. Otherwise, shit will get super mega fucked. TM. Eldar do that shit all the time, where they're like, okay, we don't like the humans, but if they die, that will just enable our enemies to grow bigger, so let's stop that. That's fucking Eldred showing up to, like, 13th Black Crusade being like, hello, humans, you must stall on Cadia for just a little bit longer, please. Oh my god, I'm doing something here, okay? Sorry, take a deep breath. But yeah, there you go. There's your Xenos thoughts for the day.
We'll probably talk a little bit more about Death Watch in the back half here, but we got one more here coming from Agent 418, who says, hello, Lucky Omega. Have a good weekend, y'all. Same to you, buddy. Thanks every week.
Hey.
And that is that for Mailbag.
A quality mailbag. We're at about an hour 45.
Yay.
Big, long mailbag. But that's probably a good point for us to take a brief little break.
Brief break.
And then come back in the... Well, not even the free talk section. There's no free talk. In the What's Up section.
Oof. All right.
Yeah,
Be back in a bit, y'all.
On stuff. But yes.
I'm ready.
Okay. We're back. It's the What's Up. And honestly, funnily enough, that's a pretty decent transition to, I think, the first note I had. Sorry, excuse me first. But that is, this past week, Warhammer had their annual, what they call Warhammer Skulls showcase, which is basically just they talk about a bunch of video game stuff. It's apparently their 10th year of that. So they had a handful of interesting announcements going on. We got a release date for Dawn of War 4, which is going to be September 17th. And apparently one of their big DLCs is going to include a 5th faction. So keep your eyes peeled if you're a fan of Dawn of War. I should probably run through the first Dawn of War with Lucky sometime, just so he can enjoy some of the classic memes.
The classic memes.
Now, Dawn of War was a gateway for a lot of people, myself included, and I do have, because the it's an RTS, so the units do their combat barks a lot. So I have the Blood Ravens Tactical Marines shouting stuff, Space Marines attack for the Emperor, over and over again in my head. Squad broken, that kind of stuff. But I do think that Dawn of War 4 is doing some interesting stuff, even if it's a little limiting that their factions are like, Necrons, Orcs, Admech, Space Marines. But they're at least showing off a few different things going on there. Knowing them, the 4th faction will be Chaos in some way. But I think one of the most interesting announcements in terms of like relevance to us is, I'll post the trailer again in case somebody hasn't seen it, but they announced a sequel to the tactics game Chaos Gate. There was previously Chaos Gate Demon Hunters, which was like an old Hammer game from like the 90s, I think, or like the early 2000s. Phenomenal soundtrack. If you listen specifically to the Deathwatch APs on Patreon, you'll know that I have been, in addition to editing the normal audio editing stuff I do, removing some background noise and other, I have out and in music that's taken from the original Chaos Gate OST. But no, they did an HD remaster, like they did a remake of Chaos Gate Demon Hunters, which was with as brought up Grey Knights like not too long ago. But that's a tactics game as well, and they're announcing a sequel, Chaos Gate Deathwatch, which is about Deathwatch.
Surprising.
Can anyone wonder why that might be relevant to us? Stares at videos. But yeah, so this was a neat little one to see. Looks like they got a lot of fun stuff going on with the Deathwatch guys. Got a bunch of different, chapters shown in it with a variety of different abilities. They even have a venerable Deathwatch Dreadnought in there. And they showed a wide variety of enemies, including, Tau, Necrons, Orcs, etc. So looks like they're gonna use the Deathwatch setting to their kind of full effect to get a wide variety of abilities out there to try out, as well as get a lot of stuff. They also announced an oddball one, but yeah, kind of I think everybody's like second or third ask for a Helldivers Legendary Warbond, but they did announce they're doing a 40k Warbond for Helldivers.
I think it makes sense.
No, like I said, I said it was I think everybody's second asked for one. Everybody was like, well, you're a Sony IP, so you need to cross over with Killzone, or like, well, you're called Helldivers, so you should do ODST, and they did do the ODST crossover. So now we're getting Warhammer. This one's really interesting because this was just kind of like a very loose trailer, like just an announcement that it's coming and that it will happen, sometime this year, but they didn't even have any teases or details, so we don't really know what it is. I would assume it's going to be Imperial Guard themed.
That's my thought.
Yeah. There's a couple of different ways they could do that. Probably the best bet would be, for everybody thinking at home, would be, I mean, it's the Imperial Guard, so probably like Cadian Kasserkin, which are their elite drop troops, or maybe the literal Elysian drop troops, which is a regiment of Imperial Guard who are all about drop troops. With 40k, like with the Imperial Guard, there's a lot of different sub-factions you could do. You might be able to, like, the legendary warbonds have usually been a couple of layers, so there's probably going to be 2 full armor sets and then a couple of different weapons. So, depending on what they do, there are a couple of different things they can do. They might, cram some Kriegers in there. The Death Corps of Krieg are very popular because they are the guys with the built-in gas masks,
Yeah.
So, like, that's a pretty popular look. You're not going to see, like, normal Cadians and, like, I mean, you can already basically do Catachan Jungle Fighters, but you got to remember, the thing about Helldivers is, I'm pretty sure Helldivers don't have modeled faces because every single helmet covers your face.
Mm-hmm.
So, if it's going to be something 40k related, it will be completely face covering. I've seen people joking about, like, it being a Tau crossover. I think that would be very funny. I don't think they're going to do that. They could do that as a separate one, and that would, for democracy, for the greater good, that's workable. That would be very amusing. But no, it'll probably be Kasserkin, or it might be Tempestus Scions, stormtroopers, who also have kind of a distinct look, but we'll see. I just did want to note this because I also saw a tweet from Pilestead, who's now he was the head of the game, and now he's moved to like just chief creative officer. But he awoke from like a long Twitter hiatus to be like, hey, been out of scope for a little bit, but just to remind you, we are working on your feedback. In addition to technical stuff, we are also thinking big thoughts about, progression management. And I'm kind of like, I really hope that it means that there's some sort of acceleration of the progression or some alternate methods, because that I feel like is kind of the thing that turned me off Helldivers. It was a grind. It was a little bit of a slog. It felt like not necessarily that every update was broken, though usually there were some problems with each new update. Some of those felt like they were more intended than others. For better or worse, it kind of felt like a lot of Helldivers 2's difficulty curve was based around sweats.
Yeah.
Without necessarily like building in good balance markers for the fact that the game has like 10 difficulty levels,
That's what kind of I bounced off eventually.
Yeah. So like it obviously it's a good game to fuck around in. Actually, I should have said that at the start of the show. I was going to say that I've been mulling over my head the manifesting of Fuck Around Friday because there are probably going to be Fridays where we don't record Let's Talk FGO, not necessarily because we're tired, but because there's nothing to talk about.
We've been having more of those recently.
Yeah, we were at risk of that happening this week, honestly. But like I said, especially you guys really... I know we say thanks for writing into Mailbag and stuff like that, but quite a lot of you showed up to Mailbag this week, and that started at like half an hour and went until like hour 45-ish raw recording, so that was like, a little over an hour of content generated just from that. So thanks. Mm-hmm. Thumbs up. But like my plan is at some point to inaugurate the Fuck Around Friday of just like, hey, let's play some friend slop games, or let's play like a random one-off game we feel like playing that we don't want to commit to a whole series to. But obviously, because I was EP yesterday, I was not going to spearhead that. But like I said, Helldivers 2 could be a Fuck Around Friday type game. We could jump into it and see what the fuck is going on. But I kind of felt like, in addition to all the content being like ludicrously overtuned, making it hard to feel like you're progressing if you're trying to progress, there was a lot of progression. And there was a period for like the first, I want to say, year and a half of the game where like, even when the game was struggling with kind of like balance and player retention and stuff, they were just every month a new war bond, which seemed like it had something you had to have in it. And it was way too much stuff. They've really, really slowed that down, but they still haven't really picked up the pace on generating like samples and super credits and other stuff. And obviously, they want you to be able to spend money, or hopefully be encouraged to... excuse me. But they want you to be encouraged to spend money on super credits to, sustain the game and all that stuff. And that's fine. I would have to be spending a lot of money on super credits to keep unlocking these war bonds, Like,
yeah.
They were way too fast for them. So like I said, that's my hope, and that could bring me back to the game. Like, I locked the fuck in and did the strats to grind the necessary large amounts of super credits to get the ODST special war bond. It was worth it to me because I'm a Halo Andy. I'm a Bungie guy. I'm a Bungie boy. And ODST, Halo 3 ODST is a really cool game that was really neato and had some smooth jazz.
It really had that smooth jazz.
I'm
still shocked about the smooth jazz.
No, it was a great addition. And honestly, if I remember rightly, it's been a little bit since we did our Halo retrospective, but ODST was right around the point where you were kind of like, okay, all right, they're doing things with like storytelling and characters. I feel attached to some of these people, as opposed to just listen, Mr. Chief's a great guy, kills aliens, doesn't afraid of anything, but like Chief is kind of a brick wall for most of the game, most of the series. And I'm going to be real with you. I think this I was in a conversation about this recently, but like, not every Halo game has good writing decisions. I think there were some missteps in Halo 3, because the team was super burnt out from doing Halo 2 and Halo 3 back to back. So they did some stuff that wasn't cool. They didn't need to do Sergeant Johnson or Miranda Keys dirty. Honestly, I think the franchise would have been better if they had those characters they could go back to for the well and didn't feel like they had to reinvent the antagonists and supporting casts every single game. Looks at Halo 4, Halo 5, Halo Infinite. But anyway, that's a separate digression about what's going on there. But like, so I locked in to, unlock the ODST one. I did really like it. Depending on what they do for like Warhammer, I could see going back and trying to at least drudge up the super credits to get it. But it also like could be nothing, So, but it was an interesting one because it was kind of like at the news was interesting because it was kind of at that point of inflection about like, oh yeah, Helldivers 2. No, I want to click up on this channel. I don't want to go into Secret Gaming. It was a misinput. But they had a couple more stuff. So highly anticipated that everybody was anticipating it for the last 2 times there was a character class DLC. But Darktide finally revealed, indeed, you can eat the powder that says Skitarii tomorrow. That's can crack. Drink the juice that makes you say Skitarii.
Skitarii.
It's Skitarii. It's the tech guard of the Adeptus Mechanicus. That's coming out late next June. I am still a little antsy about, they're charging $12 a character class DLC, which is like, that's not my favorite, but depending on what they're doing, I think Skitarii could be worth it. Like, I've already joked that I think I'm gonna pencil getting back into Darktide in June. Because they've added some new weapons and stuff, and plenty of new missions, I think, since we had been playing. So there's stuff to do to keep progressing the game and leveling up, but the Skitarii are the armed forces of the Adeptus Mechanicus, so they start their lives as normal humans just like Imperial Guardsmen, but then they're crammed to the gills with cybernetics. But because they work for the AdMech directly, they get access to funny things. Based on the trailers already, it seems like they're going to have some sort of abilities based around deploying servo skulls, it looks like.
Neat.
They might do some stuff with, mechadendrites. But I'm just thinking about maybe the possibility of some unique class weapons because the Skitarii do usually get a few fun toys in addition to, handfuls of other oddball stuff like, Mars pattern las guns and bolters and other things. They have, vibroblades, like actual vibroblade swords, and they have their galvanic rifles. They have their electricity arquebuses. Also, some members of the Skitarii get access to radiation-based weapons.
Ugh.
Rad guns. So, like, for a first-person horde shooter, there's some funny things we could give a Skitarii class. So, yeah, I'm definitely like, as far as I know, there's not any big gaming purchases I need to be making in June. I don't think there's any titles coming out that I'm, like, 100% sold on. So I'm like, we could get a character DLC and we could Skitarii some things. No, that's the thing. Aaron's saying, Mars is a radioactive hellscape. It's like, no, they love it there. They're over it. That's what all the implants are for. But that was an interesting one that, like, a lot of people were really anticipating Skitarii and Adeptus Mechanicus for a long time. They're very popular. They do have a very distinct look, being, covered in almost, like, steampunk-style cybernetics, but with their big red cloaks and stuff. So, like, very iconic. But, yeah, that was a one to see. There was a new update and stuff for Space Marine 2, which did get me back into it. They've done some updates for Siege Mode to kind of rebalance it out a little. Kind of adjusted how things were going and rebalance it so that now Siege Mode generates modifiers just like their weekly stratagems. And you can re-roll them if you need to, but they're basically just like every 5 waves you can get some random modifiers and stuff. So that's good. Did play, I sat down with Aaron and Seeker, and we did play the new mission, and it's pretty all right. They actually they sent you back to Kadaku, and they actually mixed and matched Chaos and Tyranids, which is something they did very rarely.
Okay.
So letting you actually face both. We all thought there was going to be a boss fight at the end, but there wasn't. So who knows? There may be some more freaky haha things coming later. And I've been playing both, with a group and just with randos and quick matchmaking to try and level up a few classes and unlock some things. And I do still have a few niggles about the way Space Marine 2 is designed sometime. Like, they've added some new stuff where you can unlock some new customizations by playing the hardest difficulty Absolute, which is a little crazy. You gotta clear like 100 missions of Absolute to get all the unlocks they've added. Which is a lot. Like, even if you're a sweaty sweat, that's a lot of work But like I said, I've been doing some matchmaking with randos, and I've noticed like getting a lot less incapacitations. I think it really is just like you got to get some levels and you got to get some armory data so you can start upgrading your guns a little, because like fine-tuning some of your weapon and character perks so you've got a fuller loadout really does seem to be like the thing. I'm not going to say no incapacitations. There's just today I did one where I did one of the random stratagems because you can get purples from that. But where friendly fire was turned on.
Oof.
And I'm not exactly sure what ability it is, but I think I was with a person who had some kind of ability where they like did the equivalent of detonate a grenade when they did something. And so the one of the guys on my team may have accidentally knocked us down a couple of times. He picked us back up. We didn't wipe, but like definitely like there's still some chaos in the game. But been trying out a few builds and stuff. I will say it's funny because just the other day, was it earlier today or was it yesterday? I think it was last night. Axe was like, "Oh, could everybody model their characters in Space Marine 2?" And I was like, "Well, no, because there's no apothecaries, there's no librarians. And to fully model, you would need to buy some cosmetic DLC. I think you would at least need the Raven Guard DLC pack, because that has both the Corvus helmet and has the Raptors like official color schemes and emblems. So like if you wanted to do a mix and match and do a Deathwatch Raptor like Sniperius, you would need the DLC because you can't get the Corvus helmet otherwise. And I'm not sure exactly which helmet and armor patterns the guys have, but you might need some of the other DLCs to get everybody's like exact armor permutations down. But I have been thinking funny because I have been leveling Tech Marine in Space Marine 2, and it's very funny that like we'll probably come back to talking about Deathwatch, but it has been a thing of note where Axe is playing our Tech Marine, and he has been bemoaning that he has been building in the direction of being melee focused and has had a hard time reaching people in melee. Not impossible, and did actually get some fun melee engagements in the last round, but it has been tougher. And it is kind of funny because like everybody can, well, I say everybody. Basically everybody can melee in Space Marine 2. The only class that doesn't get a dedicated melee weapon is heavy. In that case, your melee attacks are just you beat your enemies with your heavy weapon. Because if you're a heavy, aka a Devastator, you're too big chungus for a melee weapon. But like everybody can be melee, and the Tech Marine does have unique melee options. They're the only class that gets the Omniscient Axe, which they get to do as kind of like it's I've used it a little. It's neat because like it gives you a couple of different things. It's like it's not quite like the Power Axe because the Power Axe is one-handed, so it's more reach, but you have like some area control moves, and like if you do your heavy attack, you literally do like a halberd charge with it. So it's got like some unique animations. But I think the way the Tech Marine perks are is like you're basically like the other medium to long range supporty guy besides tactical, because you get access to a lot of the more exotic ranged weapons like plasma rifle, heavy bolter, auto bolter, stuff like that. You can take interesting sidearms like the Volkite pistol and the thermal pistol and stuff like that, the Inferno pistol. But the active ability is you have your servo arm, right? Your other equipment in Space Marine 2 is you have a servo gun. So you have a smart gun mounted on your back that's like your recharge ability. And I don't know if that's exactly modeled in Deathwatch. That might be if you get the servo harness, you can rig ranged weapons to that.
I do know you can get like guns on Mechadendrite. But...
yeah, you can get like a equivalent of like a las pistol or plasma pistol built in, which might be fun. But like I said, it's kind of an oddball one where like I said, I think technically Tech Marine is like an all-rounder. Like the perks I've seen are usually like get better at using equipment, aka throwing grenades, or do combos with your servo gun. Stuff like enemies struck by your auto servo gun are take extra damage, or after using your servo gun, get 30% extra melee damage for 10 seconds type shit. So that was just a funny thought I've been having while playing Space Marine 2 a little. But yeah, I feel like I'm back in to poke at SM2 for a little bit. Let's see. They announced a decent number of things as well in the skulls. So there was the Space Marine 2 update. Mechanicus 2 finally came out. I still need to play Mechanicus 1, but that's a tactics game based around playing the Adeptus Mechanicus and the Scutari against Necrons. The original had a banger soundtrack. I haven't heard anything quite as choice out of the sequel, but I'm sure that it's pretty spicy. Let's see. We did get some news from Owlcat. The beta for Dark Heresy is coming out soon. So, getting a beta launch just like how Rogue Trader had a beta. Let's see. The closed beta is available now if you've bought a Founders Pack, and so there'll probably be an open beta soon. And June 11th, they're launching another DLC for Rogue Trader, the Infinite Museon, which seems to be Necron-themed.
Hey, the collector.
Yeah. So, there's at least one big DLC. Apparently there is a demo out for Bolt Gun 2. That's cool to see. There's a second playable character. So you can now play, Sternguard veteran Malum Cato, or you can play a Sister of Battle. And it looks like they have, slightly different weapon selections and, sorry, it's me, but, I'm trying to breathe, but, and probably slightly different abilities, but that's coming out sometime this year. They were doing a sale going around, so, I did, reinstall Bolt Gun, which was a PS Plus game a while ago, and because it was, heavily discounted, I did buy the Forces of Corruption DLC for more levels. Also, 2 more guns. It adds the multi-melta and the straight up a missile launcher.
I was watching some gameplay of Bolt Gun. That straight up is a boomer shooter. It is
it's so boomer. Because I've been playing Space Marine 2, I find myself trying to fucking zoom in, and I'm like, no, I can't do that. Boomer shooter. We don't do that here. I just gotta eyeball it. Like I said, if you like boomer shooters, I think it's a fun time. You get to run around and, lay waste to the forces of chaos with various funny haha guns, from your humble bolter to advanced shit like, the Neo-Volkite Caliver, which is your beam sniper. You get to use a grav cannon and just kind of, melt guys. Like I said, the DLC adds the multi-melta, which is basically just so I think I heard somebody describe it best. In Bolt Gun, you do have access to the Astartes Bolt Shotgun, which, like I said, was a personal favorite of mine. Great at room clearing, great for little soft guys. When you're fighting some of the bigger, scarier demons, or you're fighting Chaos Space Marines, the damage is a little too low per shot, but it's very good against soft, squishy targets. So that's your normal pump shotgun type FPS gun. The Melta gun in Bolt Gun is kind of like a Doom Super Shotty. You only get 2 shots before you reload, and it's the classic of it's 10 and each shot is 5. And it does fire in kind of a narrow cone in front of you, but things that are inside the cone die. But for a boomer shooter, it has decent reach. It reaches out a little bit. It's not quite as bad as the dispersal on Melta weapons in Space Marine 2, which I think are they're a little too shotgun-y. I don't hate it, but as you guys have seen from playing Deathwatch, Melta weapons are supposed to be man-portable anti-tank weapons. If they have a cone, it's because they shoot at a big thermal bloom that's designed to hit something that's the size of a fucking truck with 2 Ks. But so I don't know if there's a classic Doom or classic Marathon equivalent to the multi-melta. Basically, you it. All the heavy weapons in Bolt Gun don't have reserve ammo or don't have magazines. It's just all one ammo space. So when you're using the heavy bolter and you're maxed out on 300 rounds, you don't have to reload. You fire all 300 of those until you run out, or the enemies are dead. So the multi-melt is the same way, but it seems like it can only fire a 3-shot burst before it has to reset, and the recoil is pretty huge. But you're 3-shot bursting 2, twinned melta shots, so I have fought, Chaos Terminators and stuff and just been hello, multi-melta, and they melt. Like I said, the game's fun if you like it. I play it, casually, play a couple stages before bed, and, we out here. It's not without occasionally some of the rooms are pretty brutal, but, you've got modern checkpointing involved, so it's not you gotta do the whole level over again type stuff. And because they've got a playable Sister of Battle, I'm interested in the sequel. Kind of interesting to see about what other new guns they bring in. They did announce they're working on a roguelite called Warhammer Survivors. I guess we're just doing Survivors likes and a few other things, but they're trucking along with other games. and we'll probably mention, like I said, our experience with Deathwatch the RPG towards the tail end of the show.
Yeah.
Sorry, clear my sentences a little. But yeah, after that, well, you talked about you mentioned it, I should say, in mailbag and in the mailbag prompt. But you have been playing a lot of gacha games. I know there's a few of those you might want to expand upon if you want to go ahead and expand.
Well, I think the first one I'll talk about is Last Origin, a very horny game that has been out for 7 years now, actually. Just celebrated its 7th anniversary, with Japan celebrating its 6th anniversary. It's been out quite a long time, and it's taken that long for us to get a global version. And I think I did mention this before. It is a global version. You know, I can download it, and I can get a quote-unquote uncensored version. But I have to get the uncensored version through a standalone launcher, Valve. What is this? Well, it's called VFun, and it's like something Valve.
Yeah, I don't remember what it stands for.
Yeah. And while that's not too much of a pain, the interface on there is a bit of a pain in the ass. And like I mentioned before, the actual English translation and the UI is kind of fucked. Like, they had to break the UI so they can put English on it, and a lot of the translation is pretty bad. Like, they still have like Korean honorifics in there, bad punctuation, capitalization. They don't spell some things the same. Sometimes have concern. Just all the classic hallmarks of something just being force fed through a translation device and not proofread. As I said before, I have read shitty translations for several years now. I am not as hung up on them as other people. I still prefer, these shitty translations over to, having to have the game open on one screen and having a wiki on the other, which is what I had to do when I originally played Last Origin. I think it was like on its like 2nd or 3rd anniversary when I got into it, and I couldn't understand shit. So just being the fact that me being able to read skills and skills and stuff like that, super great. I love it. Like I said, I actually made another channel for Last Origin, and it's because, like I said, Last Origin is very horny on main. So just, posting stuff in the regular channel wouldn't do, so I had to make it not safe for work. Yeah, but we got like a few people in there, and I'm excited. Like I said, Last Origin is one of those games that I can, quickly put up and put down, get the daily stuff in and out, so I don't have to, hyper focus on like the grind. Cause it actually has a system that is actually really fucking sweet. It's called Smart Combat. Basically what you can do is, you can go to a map, and if you perfect cleared it, got 4 stars on it, which is, basically complete all the objectives, you can enter Smart Combat, in which, like, up to 3 hours, you can increase it by spending premium currency on it to increase more hours, but at a minimum, you can get up to 3 hours of the game will just play for you. And I don't mean like, like auto combat things have to go. It's like, no, it'll just play for you. You can actually turn off the game and it'll keep farming for you. It's super great. So you can like set up the farm, close the game, go do everything, come back 3 layers, open it up, you get all the rewards for it. It's super great for farming units, because Last Origin is one of the games, like, from a bygone era, we don't actually have a gacha in here. No, we have construction timers and map farming. You basically get units from either building them in the workshop or going to mats and farming them. Like, hang on, let me see here. Do I still have the image?
A truly lost art. We must return. Hopefully you
Like,
can see the V's and the U's there when I said it.
Yeah, no, like, this is lucky, like, right now. Like, this game only came out Thursday? Yeah, Thursday. And I have already grinded, like, several characters up to level 100, max limit, broken several of them, because they did a very wise thing, is that they actually started with an April Fool's event that actually has some very premium grinding spots for some very good units, which I am, like, making my way going for. I'm currently working on getting Hirume, who is a big titty fox priestess, which I'm all about. And also, like I said, the translations work, but it's also good to actually being able to read the story and understand what's going on. Again, trying to, click buttons and read back and forth is kind of weird to me. I don't like that.
Yeah.
And I'll be able to, like, actually do all the event stories and understand what's happening. Like I said, the global version didn't start from, like, 1.0. It's actually on, like, 1.3. So we're actually several years into, like, its development cycle. So it has a bunch of, like, fun things built in, which is okay. Like the original release of Last Origin did like a lot of fun stuff. Like they would just a lot of the times give you free units, max copy, just like here, have fun with them. So we're not going to be getting a lot of that, which I cry. But we basically get to start off with a lot of units that we can do things with. One of the reasons why I really like Last Origin is not just because of its horny on main, but because of the way the combat system works. Basically, you and the enemies are on a 3x3 grid, and you have to place your enemies on you place your units on the grid, and depending on where they are, will be able to determine like how many enemies they can hit, where they can hit, how they defend, and how they like evade attacks and stuff. So it's very, very tactical and in depth, and a lot of mechanics, and there's a lot of eggs. There's like a lot of word salad on a lot of skills of what they do and like how they affect each other. Like you can have, if you place like one character at the front, they could like either protect the character above or behind them, or a character behind them when that first character attacks and do a follow-up attack. Sometimes the character will be able to evade an attack and then counter-attack that attack. There's a lot of back and forth in combat, and it can get very in-depth with how it is. Unfortunately, with all things, people will automatically try to smooth brave the fucking game. And which they have, so you can actually just, clear a lot of the game content with just a few units, a couple of them that I already have, but it's going to be fun, like, getting in there and actually mucking around with the system and seeing what fun combinations I can get to do, see if I can get any theming and stuff. A lot of units in there have, synergy with, like, other units of their kind, like, every, like, unit belongs to a squad, and usually someone in the squad will have a skill that says, when paired with someone else in the squad, you get these additional bonuses, and I'm like, that's rad! I love it. So, Last Origin, I'm very excited that it's finally here. I hope they improve upon the translations and the UI stuff. Like I said, they've already had a little bit of error. The release had to be delayed by 5 hours, I believe, because they had server issues. But we will see. I'm hoping it at least maintains enough profit that we can keep the server open for a while. Other than that, like I mentioned about it, I picked up back Azure Lane and Blue Archive. Blue Archive is about to do their anniversary stuff. It's going to be crazy. I'm going to be throwing down for you, but not much more to say there. Azure Lane, I also showed up at a very bad time because they're about to do their summer skins, and they are always so fucking unhinged around summer.
Yeah, they're crazy.
They're crazy. People have probably seen the fucking... I wouldn't be surprised if you're just in Gacha circles, you might have seen the animation of the girl skydiving and her tits just flopping around. Just the big floppy. There's no words for it. It's a little unhinged. But other than that, the one I think I'm actually I picked up Azure Lane and Blue Archive just because, I kind of missed them. And, I felt like, but the one I feel like I genuinely missed was, Snowbreak. Back in January?
That'd be about right if we're talking about it as a 5-month hiatus.
Yeah, I think it was back in January. Snowbreak became under fire because of a couple of reasons. One, they collabed with the Chinese post office and had, pops of their characters on it, which, if you don't know, Snowbreak, kind of horny on main. They're not necessarily shy about it. So, that game put into the public eye really drew a target on their back. And from what I understand of the community, I could be wrong about this, so take this with a grain of salt. Around that time is also when it came under attack from a lot of... let's see, how do I want to say this? Because I don't want to just, paint a bad brush. But let's just say that there was people who spoke in bad faith, because our game was not their game. Like I said, I
know a little bit about this. I think I can say this from kind of from a hangback perspective. There was a lot of discussion on the internet about Snowbreak because of the reason you brought up, which was that it was very horny on main. In ways that were very towing the line for what Chinese gacha games normally is acceptable. Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of discussion happening about it because at the same time there was also discussion going on around, I think at the time, that was about Love in Deep Space.
Yes, it was
which is
part of that.
a mostly otome game thing going back and forth. So there was some back and forth, and like you said, we don't want to paint with a brush. I don't think anybody actually knows if Love in Deep Space fans reported Project Snowbreak or shit like that. Like you said, they collabed with the Chinese post office, but there was a lot of internet discussion going around, like you said, that my game is not your game, and that kind of seemed to have drawn attention of the people whose job it is to draw attention.
Yeah. But after 5 months, Snowbreak is back, and it has been heavily censored. Like, originally, while Snowbreak was censored, there was, one neat trick, to solve all this problem, which you can actually re-enable the uncensored files. It was actually very easy to do on
one
PC.
neat trick.
Yeah, yes. But that seems to have been disabled, and a lot of other things have seemed to be disabled as well. One of them is actually very irritating for me. They seem to have disabled shower scenes for your operatives, which is a problem because there is a secret quest in the game in which you need to talk to one of your operatives while they're showering. And now we've been kind of locked out of that. I'm just like, bruh.
Probably need to
it's
work
like you're,
on that, yes. But I get why.
I get why. A lot of people are already saying dead fucking game, they fucking killed it. I'm just all like, no, they didn't fucking kill it. People, public opinion killed it. They were doing this fine, but people just cannot stay in their lane. People have to be nosy about everything, and it's annoying.
Yeah, and like you said, I don't. Again, we don't. Nobody knows who reported what, but if it was a reaction from some elements of the Love and Deep Space community, that was only because people were in their lane about oh my god, I can't believe this is a game that women play. Look how degenerate they are, and it's it's just stop finger pointing. You're all in a glass house, and you're not armed, and you're armed with bricks. Stop it.
Women can be horny on main too. It's all right.
Everybody can enjoy their horny game. It's all right. We should come together. It's cool.
If you want to say my husbando is so fucking hot, be fuck yeah, he is.
Like I said, we're all in glass houses armed with bricks. Please stop throwing them.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a proverb in there somewhere. It's those who seek revenge should dig 2 graves. Those who seek to throw bricks inside their glass house are left with nothing but shards of glass.
Something. I don't know.
And no shoes.
But I'm still playing it. I don't know. I don't know what it is about Snowbreak, but I genuinely enjoy it. It's just, I don't know, maybe the lovey-dovey haremness of it. I appreciate games where they don't fuck about with you, fuck when the main character fucks and has romantic relationships. I like that. I am quite sick of the nebulous relationship state that we get in a lot of games of are they, aren't they? Leave it up to your imagination. I'm like, no, don't leave it up to my imagination. Tell me, do I fuck? And so games Nikke, Snowbreak, Last Origin, which are all decidedly horny on main, but I think are also more wholesome for the fact that you feel like you can have actual relationships with characters that is just not, we have generic working relationship, thumbs up, smile at the camera, appeals to me. Along with that, I'm still playing a lot of other things. I'm still playing Neverness to Everness. They just announced their 1.1, content. They actually had a premiere last night at about, 4:30 a.m.? I think it was about 4:30 a.m. I watched it. Unfortunately, again, my criticisms about Neverness to Everness seems to maintain. People are talking about Genshin would never and all that stuff. I'm like, they're not really doing anything that much better though. We are still just going with nothing but limited characters. You get limited currency to roll with. And we're not actually adding that much more to the game. We're focusing much more on multiplayer than single player, and these requested features seem weird. Do you guys hate the fucking otter that goes Tageto so much that you wanted a mute option that they fucking Halta Studio felt compelled to add it in? Really? Is this what we're bothered about?
And felt compelled to, talk about it?
Yeah. It's we're not gonna talk about how, the fucking Tetris minigame doesn't actually have a solo player mode? How freaking, what are, some other things? How, content is, so easy to done and we just have literally, a month of doing nothing? But, the basic shit every day? It's talk about how, we're a month in and we're just getting, limited character upon limited character upon limited character? Not talking about how pity, doesn't carry over and, it's, either you get it or you don't.
Yeah, unfortunately, I feel like the as you said, the Genshin would never people have been too, again, talking about glass houses. I feel like I say this as a person who did bounce off Genshin. It was a pretty cool concept for a few weeks, and then I kind of saw the writing on the wall for me personally and got out of there. But, too many people are too in the business of throwing bricks from inside their glass house, and it's like, you're not really, like, fighting the good fight on things that would actually matter. Like you said, like, constantly rotating limited characters with pity that doesn't, roll over or anything. They're always going to try and, like, FOMO gacha you. Which, by the way, is not... I know some people think it's like, gacha is that way because it's a gacha... No, it's from gachapon machines. It's a Japanese onomatopoeia thing. Don't worry about it. But, we just made a joke when talking about Last Origin that was like, yes, the forgotten yesteryear of constructing units. Yes, I recall the days of, randomly feeding heavy construction recipes that I looked up on the fucking internet and being like, please, please, shotgun woman. Pretty sure I had DP23 in Girls Frontline 1.
But it's one of those things of, like, yes, I understand that you need to make money, but, like, if you just engage with making,
I'll say this. NTE's been out for, not even a month?
Not even a month. Maybe a month.
If you're already settling into the mindset of just, you're going to maximize for whales, that's bad. Your game is going to go downhill sooner rather than later. I understand that, whale optimization is, part of the curve of what people expect from live service games, but you're still in the honeymoon period. You should still be trying to get new people interested in your hip new thing. The way, Lucky was very excited for this game. I was not interested at all in this game. The way Lucky talks about this game, I'm fine. It's probably not for me. Lucky is begrudgingly playing, hoping that there'll be some newer, better stuff, because the parts you like of it are cool enough to keep you invested,
Yeah.
But, that's not necessarily going to be general appeal. And, this is a broader conversation I've been thinking about with lots of games, thinking about, the Space Marine 2 difficulty and stuff, and, where Helldivers is, and, I understand a desire from a certain game design standpoint to balance around the sweats. I feel like that's the divide, right? The sweats, the casuals. And I've seen some discussion that I do actually agree with, that, sometimes, honestly, casual players can be way more toxic than sweats. There are certain game formats, there are some people in, Yu-Gi-Oh! Who are, aggressively, destructively casual, willfully ignorant type casual. How dare you play meta? And it's okay, but meta decks can be fun too. Decks that are good can be fun, actually, funnily enough. I've spent a lot of time playing casual and, off-meta decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! To understand that, sometimes a deck is just bad, or sometimes a deck just doesn't do anything, I like decks where I can actually win some games, But, I think there's a problem right now where a lot of games are balanced around the sweats, and, there's an impression that I think is incorrect that sweats are whales. This is not necessarily true. A sweat may invest a large amount of time into your game, but if you make your game a little more accessible to casual players, you can go further without necessarily going full sweaty, because, you want to grow your audience big and then try and retain, And, if NTE may not be good at that appeal and retain kind of focus, if, you said, they're talking about some of the stuff you mentioned, right? Not everybody's going to want to do, the multiplayer stuff, and if they don't actually add, interesting new stuff for you to do, people are going to get bored of the daily grind set sooner rather than later,
Mm-hmm.
You gotta get new stuff. Any stuff to wrap it back around to the positive side, any stuff you did in seeing the premiere and stuff?
Like I said, it looks like it has, there's, stuff to like. Like I said, they're doing the Porsche collab, looks wild.
That's always a very funny one for me. Games with real-life brand collabs.
Yeah. Also, I realized, I didn't mention, they actually already have a Persona 5 collab in there. You can actually, get some music pieces in there. Which I find hilarious.
And the game didn't die instantly?
Apparently.
Crazy. If you don't get that joke, chat, there's a very funny case where, I think it's just because, Atlas will collab Persona 5 with anything. They want money. So, lots and lots of gacha games will do a Persona collab, and then, 3 months later, end of service.
Yeah.
Sorry, doing a little drinking, doing a little clearing.
But what else? Anything else on Gotcha Games? Talk Snowbreak. Talk that Nikkei is Nikkeiing. I still love it to death. FGO is FGOing. Trick Cal is Trick Callan. No, I think that's it. I think that's it for Gotcha Games.
Oh yeah, actually, probably should have mentioned that earlier when talking about FGO. But yeah, we're getting Honkai Star Rail's doing their next Fate collab phase. It's Gil and Rin. Good for them.
Yeah.
Can't remember. Did they announce, or did just everybody expect there would be a second collab half? Like, did they say there would be a part 2, or are we just guessing? Expected? Okay. So just like it just felt like it. That's good to know. That's interesting. Well, if Lucky has nothing further about Gacha to say, I did not put this in the notes, but I should mention it because I was reminded it. But the Crunchyroll Anime Awards did happen. Do we? It's funny to phrase it this way, but like as a show, do we care?
I think not, honestly.
All right, I wanted to acknowledge it, but yeah, I kind of feel like collectively you and me are kind of over it. But yeah, they did happen if you do care. But yeah, I feel like the novelty's to worn out a little bit, and I skimmed the winners, and it's like, yeah, that's all pretty. It's funny to say this about anime awards, but I feel like all the winners were pretty normie core.
Yeah,
being like, nah, this is all the shit I expected. So we shall not get into it. Well then, I guess I'll talk about what I had in my list, which is two for the moment. Kind of put a bow on me playing Saros. So I won't say I'm quite done with Saros, but I'm clocking about 50-ish hours. I'm basically done. I rolled credits on Saros, and then the game is like, that is but one possibility. Can you change your path? And so I'm set up to get like the true ending. It's just to do the true ending, you gotta beat the last boss in the cycle again, which is tough. It's tough. It's a roguelite. You gotta get all the fucking randomness to line up and not, eat shit and die before you get to that guy, kind of a thing. So I will probably continue to slog off and on trying to actually get it done, but I rolled credits, and I'm pretty sure I've kind of cottoned on to like how doing the true ending will work. I do want to say that this is another great mark for Saros. Like I said, I like the game a lot. I think it's really, really fun, really brilliant. They're doing a lot of really cool stuff with the King in Yellow mythos. And I specifically want to say they are doing it but pretty, like, irrespective of a lot of the stuff that, like, August Derleth and God knows that, like, a lot of Call of Cthulhu RPG writers have, like, tacked onto it. It's very, like, clinging to the Chambers original and, like, some of the stuff that was in, like, the Ambrose Bierce poems that, Chambers took stuff like names like Carcosa and Hastur from. Sorry, excuse me. But, I think the game is really, really good from a storytelling and a kind of character perspective, its interpretation of kind of like what Carcosa is I think a really good one. I guess to kind of spoil by omission, I can tell you what it is not, and what it is that, like, there's no, like, great gray tentacled thingy at the end of it, We skip, like I said, we skip that kind of, like, Call of Cthulhu mythos RPG tie-in, and keep much more existential. It really is, like, the Chambers short stories kind of a feel combined with, like, I want to say, like classic speculative sci-fi. Like, at no point does the game try to, like, unpack how, Lucenite, like, how it is a, super efficient energy source. What kind of energy source is it? Doesn't matter. Collect Lucenite. It belongs to Soltari. Spend Lucenite to upgrade your armor. Kind of a thing. Like, what are the exact mechanics of this system where, like, quote unquote, every time the sun dies, the sun is forever. Like, they're in a constant cycle of regular eclipses, which seems to fuck with everybody's, progression of time, or possibly even their sense of time. There's a lot of stuff going on about, missing time, time acceleration, etc. No, don't worry about it. Look into the cool visual of the sun. touch the altar made of hands to turn on the eclipse so you can, get better Lucenite drops so you can upgrade better kind of a thing. Like, it is much more about, I want to say, the concept of, like, avarice and decadence, which underpinned a lot of Chambers' work, and it's really good for that. But I do want to say that it's, like, the general tone seems to be that, like, a lot of it is the cosmic horror kind of, like, you can't thwart stage one kind of a thing. Don't get too attached to a lot of these characters. God knows you're going to dig up a lot of audio logs of people who, like, have to be so long dead. And all kinds of other stuff going on. But it does actually do something that I think for a video game is pretty good, which, like I said, there's regular ending, which is kind of the inevitable moment, kind of clicking everything you've seen together. It's the kind of thing where, like, if you've been paying attention, you fucking know how this is going to end kind of business, right?
Yeah.
But I think they pull it off in a really great way that, like I said, I don't want to spoil, mostly visual things they do. But after that, you roll credits on, like, a heavy metal song, and then you do the roguelike wake up and just be like, huh, wow, that was real fucked up. I wonder, can I change my path? And then you do extra quests and stuff, and that's how you unlock the true ending of that. So, like, it does a thing that, like I said, for video games is very good, where it gives you an opportunity to see, the horror. You see the horror, and then you go, that's real fucked up. Can I change? Can I be a better person about this? So, like, that's the direction you're going in. You still gotta earn it by beating the whole last final zone again, which was already kind of a pain in the ass. Like I said, I know the direction we're going in. I do want to complete it, but it is, like, a thing that takes time to go through. So I will probably chip away at it off and on when I feel like it. Because, like I said, I actually quite like the gameplay of Saros. I think it's parts of it can be a little annoying, but with all the different modifiers you can do, there's a few different things you can tack on to make it worthwhile. Like, one of the later Carcosan modifiers I unlocked is normally red projectiles, what are called Nova projectiles, you cannot dash through. You can get a modifier, you can dash through them. Like, you gotta counterbalance it, but that was a great addition to just be like, oh, okay, so, like, I don't have to, like, constantly shift my brain between, like, okay, I cannot dodge these, I can dodge these, etc., You can still parry red projectiles once you unlock the parry, but, like, I've mentioned before, not a huge fan of the parry mechanics, because it's, like, parrying is built into your melee button, which is also your shield button, and you can't shield red projectiles, and in fact are punished if you do. They drain your energy, your shield energy, very rapidly if you block them. So, like, it's a thing about, like, timing the button presses. You have to press the button just long enough that you do a punch and a parry, but not hold it so long that you do a block. But, like, depending on your momentum, sometimes you move forward while punching, sometimes you don't move forward while you're meleeing, so, like, timing the parries is very tricky. Probably intentionally, but I find it a little too fiddly to pull off consistently. Which is a little, like I said, a little annoying, because there's, like, all kinds of upgrades about making parrying better. But if you get real good at the parrying, it's probably better for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, there are actually some options. There are some opportunities to build through. I will say there's an interesting mechanic that I think correctly is designed to kind of balance the late game. Basically, once you reach a certain point where you have raised your 3 attributes natively so high through just, like, leveling in your suit and increasing upgrades, when you do pickups in runs, you have a chance for what is called volatility, where you will basically overcap your stats and get a permanent debuff, basically. That's a little annoying, but I kind of understand what they're going for. The main thing is just that some of these debuffs are not like the others.
Mm-hmm.
So if you increase your power too much, it becomes ignorance, and you can't see the negatives on corrupted artifacts. Like, they're hidden from you. This is very easy to dodge, because one of the Carcosan modifiers that I rocked pretty early was there are no negative modifiers on corrupted artifacts. Like, you can just, if you make the game harder in other ways, you can just dodge that difficulty modifier, basically. I forget what it actually, I think it's does your drive become greed or, like, arrogance or something? No, it's not arrogance, I already said that. But your drive stat is a stat that the more drive you have, the bigger bonus you get on your Lucenite after you finish a run, whether you teleport back to base or you die. So, like, that increases your currency gain. That when that one rolls over, it becomes a debuff where you do actually drop all your Lucenite on death. Which, like, yes, is annoying, but also, by the time you're actually at risk of this kind of volatility, you're already late enough in the game that you probably don't need to worry about it too much. You could just farm Lucenite other ways and, like, complete it without worrying about it, kind of a thing. So that's not, like, too big of a deal, but it is kind of an annoying mechanic. If you roll up your resilience too much, enemy health bars are hidden. The final boss has 3 fucking health bars. And some very long-ass annoying phases. So if you get that one flipped, that really does make your job a lot harder, because there's no real way to get around it. And so you just don't know. The fucking, all 3 of this guy's HP bars are grayed out. So, and you're just guessing how much damage you're doing. So, like, that one's rough. I don't think I've pulled off a successful run when I've gotten that debuff. So, like I said, it is interesting that they have this mechanic to, like, make it so that even if you spend all your currency and you massively buff your stats, you're still at risk if you want to pick up, and you can only get these overflows if you pick up artifacts in the run. So, like, you know, you still get to choose whether or not you're at risk of them, and it's, you know, low chance, moderate chance, very high chance kind of a thing. So it's got all that roguelike Gamba goodness in it. It's just, like I said, we're literally in, like, the chance where I'm, like, going for the true ending of the game. And so it's tough to get a run together and, like, find the right weapons and tools and match them up. And, like, the final boss, I won't say their name, but boy, he's got some annoying-ass attacks. He has a melee attack where he just teleports and fucking slugs you. And, like, that one, I'm not really sure what the dodge condition is for that one. I think it's unblockable. So I just, like, you know, just gotta hope you don't do that one so much. Because the final boss does not, like, have any ad phases or anything to spawn health pickups. Like, you just gotta get in there. You're already locked out of second chance in the final zone, so it's all, like, one and done. So, like, on the one hand, it feels great when you actually get that guy, but like I said, getting the true ending requires me to basically beat that boss again, and he's a little tricky. He was really cooking my ass last few times I did the run, so like I said, I'm on a phase of trying, you know, going back to playing Space Marine 2 is kind of like my happy fun, you know, just playing to play a game. Getting a little, you know, Final Fantasy 14 in as well. You know, we got various projects we're working on. I have many things to level up, including I've got new goals. Like, I need to, and I can say this because he won't listen this deep in the podcast, but I need to get Culinarian to, like, level 80 so I can, like, you know, throw coffee at Loth just randomly. Add it to my repertoire. You know, I gave him, like, you know, 30 high quality mashed popatoes and he fucking ate all of them in like 5 minutes on stream. So I need new jokes, but that means coffee's quite a high level technique, don't you know? So, you know, I got stuff to work on, but like I said, I've been playing a little Space Marine 2. I really probably, maybe sometime this upcoming week, I do also want to play a little marathon before the season reset, because they're in, like, their speedball phase. They've, like, increased all of their EXP gain for both runner levels and faction EXP, and they're doing a lot of, like, different events on maps, even the maps that are, like, normally pretty chill, and I want to, like, take a look at it before the season resets. Because, like, I still do like Marathon, it's just I did the thing that they talked about with their upcoming updates, which is, like, hey, so we know we have an onboarding problem. 2, we have kind of a mid-core problem, which is, like, if you're hardcore and sweaty, you're really enjoying the game and you can do shit like cryo archive and stuff, but, like, the medium core audience who, like, is engaged with the game, wants to play it more, wants to clear quests, you guys are having a tough time and we're trying to figure that out. And I'm like, thank you Bungie for getting it. You have a middle block of your audience. The majority of your audience is probably not going to be Giga Sweats. You know, if you want to get big player retention, you gotta get a little spread on it. So I'm like, hopefully we can do some more juice in the second season. But yes, like I said, I will heartily recommend Saros to people. One, if you like action games, if you like, you know, third-person shooters with some high-speed, low-drag type stuff, try it out. What I understand, it's very similar to Returnal, but they added, you know, a few more features to, again, make it a little faster, a little speedier. And I'll ask you, Lucky, because you played Returnal. What was Returnal's permanent progression like? Because I believe there was some. Remember. You don't really remember?
I don't remember. No.
Like the way Saros does it is, you know, whenever you respawn back at base, you go into primary, the big computer coffin in the ceiling, and you can spend currency for permanent upgrades. So like you truly have the classic skill tree permanent progression system to go back to. I know Returnal had some permanent stuff, but that one seemed a lot more focused on kind of like getting the best run. Areas are less randomized in Carcosa. I've talked about this before. Like Saros's biomes are like, they are randomized sets of rooms, but they're usually the same sets of rooms, So like you do them a couple of times and you'll recognize the configurations of rooms and stuff like that. So it is definitely a rogue light. So if you like those kinds of games, I recommend it. And again, if I know King and Yellow stuff occasionally be popping, if you're a big fan of that stuff, the game is really about that and has some very fun vibes. Like I said, I obviously enjoyed a lot of the cinematography stuff they do. I liked a lot of the deep cuts they did. But also just in general, if you're a fan of like that kind of like Eldritch stuff, especially of Space Eldritch, just like the stuff you do where, you're minding your own business and like you're talking to your suit and your suit just says something out of pocket all of a sudden and you're just like, And Arjun just doesn't acknowledge it. Like this, a giant freaky, dragon with a sunflower for a face will fly by, and Arjun will be like, "What the fuck was that?" And your suit will be like, "Illuminated, perfected. They have been uplifted." And he just doesn't acknowledge it, and you're just like, "Suit, are you okay?" "I'm perfect. Thanks, suit." No, it's a good video game. And I did say, like, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever I did talk about it, Big Last, that like you might catch it on PC. I don't actually know about that because it's been said in some apparently some shareholder meetings and some discussions. It's been reported that for its single player titles, Sony is moving back away from cross platform. So like there is no guarantee that like you'll be able to play Ghost of Yotei on a PC. Pretty sure it hasn't already come out on PC. I'm like reasonably certain about that. They did the Legends update, but I don't think there's been a PC port yet. Death Stranding 2 came out on PC, but I don't know like if Saros, if Yotei, if future titles like Wolverine and stuff will be on PC. They are for sure about like they're still going to do multiplayer stuff because that's like just better. Like we live in a fucking world where you can play Final Fantasy 14 on a Switch too, okay? Like that's going to happen. So like crossplay, who the fuck cares, But for single player, they seem to be focusing down. Yeah, Xbox has actually like been actually trying to get their shit together. Like the system of like everything is an Xbox was really not working because it was not moving hardware. And then they did Game Pass, which was not moving software on an individual unit basis. So it got a little screwy. I am kind of curious where this will leave our other stuff, but I'm pretty sure that like based on the direction we're going, if FF7 Remake 3 is not multi-platform day one, it's going to have a short turnaround time. Like, they've really been hyping up with, like, the Xbox and then the Switch release of like, Remake and then into Rebirth and stuff. Like, they're working on this hard. And actually, I don't think we have talked about yet, Sony did announce the same week as Summer Games Fest, they're doing a State of Play.
Yep.
It's going to be an hour long. They said for sure it's going to be about Wolverine, but also there will be some titles from their partners in there as well. So this is like everybody's out here being like, remember I talked about, powder that makes you say Skitari tomorrow? Like this is, everybody's drinking the energy. They're drinking the Mako that makes you say FF7 Part 3. Like between a State of Play and a Summer Games Fest, we're getting a trailer. We're getting an announcement. It's gonna happen. Like, whether it's like Sony gave Square some extra money so that they can announce it first at State of Play, or like Keeley's got it, I don't know. But somebody's got this fucking trailer. Director Hamaguchi's on the fucking presser again. Like, so it's coming. I'm excited. But I heartily recommend the Saros. No, I don't really have nothing else in out there. Any other things out there going on with you, Lucky?
Probably not. No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, we're about 3 hours, so let's clock in for a little Death Watch and then pack it in.
Yeah.
We're about 4 sessions in, and as usual, I feel like the team found their groove. Last session, you guys fucking destroyed me. Absolutely cleaned my clock multiple times. I'm not mad. Don't put it in the paper that I'm mad. I'm not actually upset with anybody other than me. Like, just, that's usually how I feel when I just, like, slight spoilers if you haven't checked out the AP yet. Please watch the AP. But, like, I set up a whole situation where I, like, you talked about this and like, you know, you gave me a lot of credit to be like, no, you sensed we were going to cheese this encounter in the past and wrote around it. And you're like, I guess I did. Like, I had it pre-written that there would be a second group of guys from a different angle. And so I had the perfect setup of like, oh, they're all tunneled in. They're all focused down one narrow hallway at this group of guys. They think they've won. Surprise, it's a new group of guys. And then it's just whiff, get dodged.
The dice were not dice were not kind to you.
Oh, the dice were like all over the place. Like but for me, like you've had some runs in Deathwatch where you rolled abysmally bad. Like session 1, you had some absolute dog ass, like over 90 rolls. I think you at one point rolled like a 90 and fate pointed into like 95.
Yes.
Like
I banged my desk really hard.
Had some bad shit in session 1. Session 4 was my turn. I rolled 100 like 4 times, I think.
Yeah.
Like there were a few other 100s overall, but like me specifically rolled it several times and it was bad. But don't let that detract from it. I think the you guys were a lot better about your I won't say necessarily your teamwork. We actually like you guys didn't necessarily do a lot of funny haha squad mode stuff, but you phrase it this way. This time not every single player character popped out of squad range and, you know, collapsed squad mode.
Yeah.
But I think everybody kind of like stuck to their roles and got to do a lot more of their steez this time. Sniperius got to scout and sneak and marksman, good. Fucking blew that amble up like right away. Got stunned for 5 rounds. Or no, it was like stunned for like 3 rounds and like half actions for 5 hours or something stupid. And I'm like, okay, that guy's not dead. He's out of the combat. Don't worry about him.
Yeah.
But, you know, like Lutheron got to lead. He got to, you know, because he was the squad leader, he also got to do apothecary stuff. Dallas's Ian Cora did some psychic bullshit. And Brand with his actually got to mow down like a whole shitload of guys with his heavy bolter, like killed half a horde in 1 turn. And I did talk about it earlier, as the Tech Marine acts as Aurelius Kier did actually get to charge some guys and hit him with his big claymore. So, like, I think you guys were all together doing pretty well. And like I said, you ended up basically soloing an objective without trying.
Yeah.
Like, that was not your plan, I should say. You did not go out of your way to be like, I'm going to solo this objective. You scouted ahead, and then you what I want to say is, I mean, it's very appropriate for your character, but you did a pretty smart thing, which is like, hey, am I on a line of sight of these guys? Yeah. Can I just hide in the dark tunnel? And I'm like, you can certainly try. I detected you before.
Yeah.
But it worked.
It did work.
So yeah, I think we had a lot of fun. And we did actually get a comment on that episode, which somebody was wondering if I, you know, had read Caiaphas Cain, and the answer was yes, actually. That is part of why I used ambles in the scenario as one of the random chambers. The other is, as I pointed out to the guys in the episode, the ambles are also enemies in Bolt Gun, which I had been playing at the time I wrote it. And, you know, I since beat the base game, and now I'm back to the DLC. But, like, no, that was a good encounter to include some alien guys who were just, you know, bestial aliens, you know? And that was a good balance out. So I think it was a good time.
No, it was a good time. I got to do cool stuff. I finally got to use the shotgun to devastating effect. Jesus. That thing is terrifying.
Nah, Full Auto is crazy good. There's at one point you were doing the math, and I was like, oh yeah, so you get like 4 hits, and you're like, no, I have more degrees of success than that. I'm like, right, that's your rate of fire. Scatter doesn't work like that. That's a lot of hits.
It was 9 hits total, and we just totaled up the minimum damage. Didn't even need to roll.
No, I like doing that for Deathwatch, of just being like, okay, what's your minimum? All right, let me account for armor and toughness. Yeah, even if you rolled 1s on all of these dice, it's over.
It was so over. Like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like I said, I was hoping to use, you know, a shotgun as my melee option, and it works pretty good. I was also able to take out the icon bearer and finish off the first horde with it as well. So, no, I think it serves its purpose. So I think I can basically feel comfortable in just about any combat situation now, which I think is important now that that's been tested. Now it's a lot about doing all the other stuff. I have been actually reworking the sniper specialty I had, because I was actually looking at... I was trying to make sure that, everything was like nice and balanced, but I felt like I can do what I did and have options. And I was looking at all the specialties in Deathwatch. They have no pattern. There is literally no pattern. They just, every single specialty is just, we're just going to shove stuff in here and for what you need and go. Like, I cannot figure out the design philosophy around it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's probably a decent amount of it is based around like what players would expect Space Marines to do based on the tabletop war game at the time, which again, obviously these were printed in, like the late 2000s, early 2010s. So it's like, that's technically different now, right? Mm-hmm. But like, I think it would have been based around some expectations of what they're going to do. So, like you said, like, I don't know exactly how they're broken out, but some of them are going to be stuff like, like Devastator, your heavy weapons is going to be like, well, you got to shoot heavy weapons, so I guess whatever works for that. And then Assault is going to be like, well, you're melee, so you probably want the melee stuff. When do you get things? I don't know. We just decided.
No, so I've been trying to go back and put in like more, because before that, my sniper didn't have a lot of skills in. I think he maybe got acrobatics and personal at the beginning, and I was like, no, like considering how like this thing works, I should probably throw in some like scout and recon, probably some evaluate and stuff, and maybe awareness. But then I'm like looking at the Deathwatch generals, like, but we have awareness here. Same with like concealment and stuff. So I'm trying to figure out. Because this is the other thing about the fucking thing is, like, there is redundant shit all over the specialties.
Yeah, it's like, usually it's just the idea is, how do you get something earlier?
Yeah, and I've been trying to fight with that. Luckily, like I said, I haven't really fucked with rank 1 or rank 2, so it hasn't affected my build any, but like I said, I gotta finish it up before we hit rank 3, which shouldn't be too long. I think we might hit it at the end of the next mission.
Yeah, it depends on how much you're spending. I've talked about this. I've mostly been attempting to maximize the amount of EXP I can get away with giving you for these missions, based roughly on how the game thinks you should account for, EXP. But the way it is, I have not been tabulating based on when you'll be spending them to actually hit your rank ups.
Yeah. So, like I said, adding a lot more skills. Like I said, probably gonna add like awareness, evaluates, scout and recon, probably silent move and concealment, and like along with acrobatics and pilot personal, and put up on that. I removed all sound constitution, because like the sniper's not supposed to be a tanky boy. If he's getting shot at, there's something very wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to like rebalance, things. Like earlier I had crack shot, like pretty early, but then I realized, oh yeah, that just adds +2 to like all critical rolls. And I was thinking about it, it's like, actually that +2 is actually pretty fucking strong. That
+2 to all critical damage will be like, you're gonna take several of them from like not dead to dead.
Yeah, so it's just like, all right, let's move that down a little bit and stuff, because that was actually...
Whereas something like, Mighty Shot is just like +2 to damage with ranged attacks?
Yeah, just yeah.
Yeah, that's not so bad.
Yeah, so I'm like, now that I've got my hands in the system, I've seen how things done, and I've seen things that I want to do, I'm just like,
Yeah, to kind of talk about how the builds, the weirdness of the builds and the kind of the stuff, that did remind me for thinking about like what, like, I talked earlier, kind of like what, Tech Marine actually is for, and like Axe was talking about it, like that we joke about Tech Marine being the tank because I think you get access to better armor because you can get, very late you can get Armor Monger, and you can get like, you have the machine trait, you can get stuff like that. But like genuinely I think all that Tech Marine is besides you get, you are Mr. Tech Use and Mr. Lockpick, because you get security at like +20 as your like maximum. Like Tech Marine is, FFG came up with these really cool talents and systems for abilities that were based around playing a Mechanicus. So, hey, guess what? This is the one job in Deathwatch that gets access to, shit like Ferric Summons, Luminen Blast, Luminen Shock, etc. And I know, X, you're a little, like, not sure about how you feel about using some of that stuff, but Like, that's there. And, there are other modifiers to get through and stuff. But you do have some whatchamacallit, some talents based around, like, weapons. You get some, like, different knowledge skills occasionally later. You can do weapon blessing, you have weapon tech, stuff like that. You do get some Flesh is Weak. Rank 5, you get Pro Sanguine, which I think lets you regen better. But, like, genuinely, like, Tech Marine in of itself is not built around necessarily melee or ranged. Like, I think you can get to kind of, like, pick. It's just you get a lot of access to extra armor. You can buff weapons with stuff like, weapon tech, weapon gun blessing, stuff like that. You can unjam weapons with technical knock. But they're kind of out there. And, like, I think the same comparison is, like, yeah, I'm looking at Librarian, and Librarian is just, like, my God, sorry. When Dallas is what, rank 2 already? Yeah, so it's just like Invocation plus 10, Lore Forbidden Adeptus Astartes plus 10, Lore Forbidden Psychers plus 10, Forbidden Lore Traitor Legions, Forbidden Lore Warp plus 10, Forbidden Lore Daemonology, any Scholastic Lore. Like he doesn't get talents basically, like at rank 3 at all, other than he can up his psi rating and he can buy psychic powers. Like, that is another thing that's, like, hyper-focused. Like, he actually gets some talents at rank 3, but that's a much bigger list, which he's got a shitload of different, even more lore he can take, even more oddball stuff he can take in, like, lower level ranks. He can take ciphers but he can't actually take, like, swift attack, meditation, warp conduit. Let me actually, for a comparison, like, what's the apothecary at, like, wow, the list for Apothecary is, like, so much smaller than Mr. Big Shot at, like, rank 3. It's just, like, Chem Use 20, Interrogation 20. Oh, hey! Death of the Apothecary can take Scholastic Lore Beasts.
Yeah, like at rank 2.
Yeah, because he gets a
Trust me, I've been staring at a lot of them trying to figure out some rhyme or reason to figure out how to balance this out, and I'm just be like, nope, I'm gonna wing it!
I'm looking at it, there does not seem to be any big rank or reason. Like, I think, yeah, I'm looking at it, like, Tech Marine can get infused knowledge at, like, rank 3, I think. And if I remember correctly, I think infused knowledge is the one that lets you treat any lore skill as a basic. Or something like that. Let me actually look up what the talent is. But my reason why I brought it up is because Apothecary can take it at, like, rank 5, which is, like, way later. But let's see. Infused knowledge. Let me scroll through all these hella talents. HI. Infused knowledge. Oh, yes, character treats all common and scholastic lore as basic skills, and if you already have a skill, you get a plus 10 on common and scholastic lore. So just become Knowledge Boy. And, like, all the other talents, like, for instance, that Tech Marine gets is, like, Ferric Lure, Ferric Summons, like, you can do weird stuff with, like, moving unsecured metal objects, and it's, like, that's one of those things that's, like, Axe asks me, of, like, oh, is that going to be useful? And I'm like, man, I don't know. Like, that's going to be on you to be like, will summoning an item that's metal to me actually matter? Also, I mean, I'm looking at it. I don't... Oh, sorry. You're saying it requires willpower because it's a willpower test. You don't have to require willpower to take it. Listen, man, if you wanted to just hit things, you should have just roll an assault. That would have made that real easy.
Yeah, but Axe wanted to hit things but not get hurt.
I mean, listen, if he is tanking, he is tanking, but there's ways around that. Yeah, no, I'm looking at, like, Devastator. It's like Devastator is clearly balanced around the idea that, like, you're nothing but what the fuck are skills, basically? You're nothing but talents, so you only get, like, 3 things per rank.
Yeah.
On the plus side, when because we were talking about when people get it, when Brand hits rank 3, he can take bolter drill, hip shooting, and target selection if he has the ballistic skill for it. Yes, big talents. I mean, like I said, there's not a proper tanking, like, spec. Technically, the solo ability of the Storm Wardens is the way it is. If you wanted to, like, rush into fight and draw aggro, that would probably also have been Assault. Like, the way I've always thought about Tech Marine is, like, you're always tanky in the sense that you always get bonus armor from the machine trait and you get access to artificer armor earlier, but there's not a tank in the job, but more that you are you are the guy who gets, like, giga extra lifting, so you are probably carrying heavy things, whether that's weapons or stuff like the rest of the crew. And also, you're the fiddly, when things break, you're there to fix. When people break, that's when the apothecary is there to fix. Because it's really funny. They went out of their way, like, to make sure that, like, when the apothecary heals, he heals.
Oh, yeah, no, we realize just how much bonuses the apothecary uses when he uses his Narcissium. It's crazy. It's like doubles the amount of healing, and it's, like, just based on, like, int bonus, I think. So, like, Loth's, like, healing, like, 8 minimum or something. Yeah, and it's, like, per wound. It's not, like, per encounter. So it's like, nah, he fix you up real good.
Like, hypothetically, if you get to critical damage, you may have taken a bunch of big hits that are going to be hard for you to fix. But usually it's going to be, like, you either take one little chip damage bit, or you take, one big hit.
Well, this is why it's very important for Sniperias to never get hit, because I have very little HP, and I did not put a lot of sound. I took out all my sound constitution. I am a glass fucking cannon.
No, makes sense. Listen, that's the whatchamacallit, the two kind of equivalent classes in Space Marine 2, like both the Vanguard and the Sniper are like that. Those are your guys who start with only 2 armor pips.
Yeah, no, well, that's the reason why I took him out of snipers, because I know there was some in the general, which I was like, all right, if I absolutely need to, I'll use those. But also, yes, if you want to like engage in more content around that, you gotta manufacture that stuff. Like, this is one of the things that I do feel like we are somewhat lacking in our battles, is we are not taking advantage of things tactically. What everyone seems to do when we get into battle is I attack the enemy, which is, everybody usually straight
trundles into optimal range for their gun and then fires at maximum allowable rate of fire.
Yes. Like, if you wanted to, like, engage in melee and be the tank, we needed to basically have everyone form up, fall back, and put you basically at the front with everyone behind you, and you just, spread your arm wise and say, you shall not fucking pass. And make yourself a crit.
Sorry, I was just thinking out loud. I was like, you need to get him high enough rec that he can start taking shields. Not force fields, but shields.
Shields. Like, despite all you want to do, enemies are going to behave like enemies. They're usually going to attack the nearest, either the nearest and easiest enemy, or they're going to gang up to take down a hard enemy. You got to basically establish yourself as a priority target, or make it so that they have no choice but to fight you. Just saying, oh, I wish there was something to make people fight things. There is. It's called your brain.
And I know, obviously, like, there's things here, like, some of it is, this is under Intimidate, by the way, I just found this, like, that I was going to say is, obviously, I would say, check your skills, because there are a lot of weird special uses for skills which may not be obvious. Like, here's one that I just dug up for Intimidate. You can apparently make an Intimidate test for free as part of a charge to give your enemy -10 to parry and dodge, so long as they are not, fearless.
Oh yeah, no, like, my favorite, this is the reason why I'm putting Evaluate in Sniper, is you can use Evaluate to attempt to increase the penetration for, like, one shot if you're, like, scoping out, like, a bunker or a piece of heavy armor, just to, find the optimal weakness.
Yeah.
Well, X, this is the thing you gotta remember. Like, yes, but if you place yourself in the middle of the tunnel, remember, melee range is, like, basically anything that's within the melee of you. Anything that moves past of that, you get a free hit on. So, basically, like, a 3-meter a meter radius around you, which is about,
at least like a meter, mind you, also. Like,
yeah.
Axe's preferred weapon is the Sacris Claimer, which is described as needing 2 hands to use properly for a Space Marine. So, like, he's probably got a reach of, like, a couple meters, but, 1 or 2 meters of reach, generally.
Like, on either side of you. So,
and I should bring this up. We do like to bring logic into it. Like, I and Lucky and even some of the others like to be like, when the players say something silly, I'm like, yes, you're going to... how are you going to fire a full auto burst while Brother Chungus is in the way? And you're like, oh, well, I guess I wouldn't. Mechanically, actually, if Brother Chungus isn't in melee, there's no penalty.
Yeah.
Like, technically, so long as it is permissible by me to fire around somebody, you can fire around somebody. So, like, you don't need to worry about, unless you're actively engaging in melee and targets, making it harder for people to to hit. And yes, no, honestly, Sniperius can probably compensate for it with a lot of his extra aiming and stuff,
I do like the custom, the sacrificing my react for the half aim. I think it's a little broken, but I like it.
Honestly, that's okay, though. Like, the special abilities are supposed to be, you're really good at your job. Your job is to focus fire single targets as the sniper. That is kind of like your business, the way you've designed this. Yeah, and Axe brought this up. As the Tech Marine, he can use his reaction to make an extra attack with his servo arm. Like, that's one of his neat tricks. And, like, when you're in squad mode, Aaron has the special ability as Brand that he just does bonus damage or bonus hits to hordes. And, like, that shit mean. Like, he is a monster at clearing hordes. Which, as the Devastator, he's supposed to be. That's the Devastator's job is to kill things from far away. Whether that's, hammering down hordes or focus firing tanks. I would say if you're trying to generate threat, like, obviously, even if there's not an explicit description of it, there's usually talks about, like, what you can do with skills. I'm trying to think, would that probably be Intimidate? Like, you might be able to try social skills to try and, like, group people. Like, normally Intimidate's a full action, like, it does say that, so, like, rolling an Intimidate test to target people to be like, hey, fuck you, It does say pressure individuals to give into your demands. If your demand is to fight you, you could do that. That would be a full action because the book suggests being a full action, but that might be worth it. That might be worth it to draw aggro to, like, be like, hey, it's all the stuff we've got going on. It does say also, you can technically use it to whatchamacallit, affect targets based on your strength, int, and fellowship bonus, depending on the characteristic used.
Yes, but also yes, Axe. That is something you should probably consider when planning your defense. If you can make any kill boxes, choke points, any places
the
flanking. Yeah. So, that's the thing that you got to think about. This is why I was slightly irate at you earlier when you were talking about getting the knights up and running, and I'm just like that is not our job.
Yeah, that's why I had to be specific. Like, I didn't really want to be mean about it. I even said I had a mean joke, but I didn't say it because it would have just been a sassy to say it. But, like, no, they're not supposed to plug into the knights, and I had to be clear that, like, no. The machine spirits inside them, like, are hostile to people who are not of the family line that's supposed to operate them. And even then, occasionally they kill their pilots. Like, if you try to operate the knights, I have rules where, like, they're going to try and blow up your brain. That should not be where your tactical head is at. Lucky brought up a good thing pre-game. I probably would have mentioned it in-game because that is part of the setup. But there is supposed to be a mechanic as Boneyard, so there may be hulks of vehicles that you can booby trap. Some of them, the Tech Marine, who's got probably, like, tech use plus 10 and has more buttons for that, to get more, might be able to get some more tech use out of it. You might be able to, coax some of those machine spirits back to life and, like, get some tractors you can move. Actually, shit, does the MIU specify a range? You might be able to remote drive some of those vehicles if they are remote operable. Like,
also, I don't want to leave. Also, I really don't want to leave fucking free vehicles there for orcs to start, slobbering over. That'd be bad.
No, yeah, that's, you want to deny the enemy and stuff. But, like, that's thinking about your tactics. Like, cover can be very important, thinking about getting your armor values up. You guys can get in cover. You can, improve cover. You can use that, like, I think you can use, like, the evaluate abilities and the special ability of Tech Marine to improvise or improve cover to just, like, build chest-high walls if you need them, which you can narratively use to, like, set obstacles. If I'm recalling the exact rules correctly, the way cover works is it adds AP to everywhere that's, like, protected by it, but as you, like, chip away at it, the cover is eventually destroyed. So, that means that it's a physical object that people have to, like, get over. Obviously, Kier is the guy with demo, so, planting mines, melta-bombs, etc., that can be a thing he can handle.
I don't think I'm going to be spending, so I might have been able to save enough to do my Helldivers fucking, orbital strike and, close air support.
Eagle en route. No, I think it's the Cyclone torpedo strike that's equivalent of the 500 kg.
Probably.
That's the big one. The normal close air support is probably like, an autocannon run or like that.
Yeah, no, the land strike is the fucking the fucking 500k. No, because they talk about that anything within like a half kilometer of the shot is just
500 meters. You're cooked.
You're done. You do not survive. You do not roll.
One thing I will say for you guys to think about is, like, access the question of, like, oh, do we want to take felling weapons? Because, you know, orcs do have a little more consistent unnatural toughness. And it's like, maybe not. Like, you can, but it does seem like you guys are doing decent enough damage with your minimums now, since we are using the errata, that the toughness is not as much of a deal for normal boys. You know, they're not that tough. And it is, like, technically, for normal orc boys, you would prefer felling over, like, armor pen, because orcs are not normally very well armored. They're not good at that. But you guys are facing vehicles, so you guys may want to consider some high pen weapons so that you can take out, you know, light vehicles or, you know, that kind of a thing regularly. So, like, depending on how far you want to be, you guys might consider getting some melta-guns. Crack missiles, obviously, yeah, if you're going to take the launcher, that's a great one for the heavy weapon teams. But also consider, Brand Brother Lascan, he's going to be a fucking menace. 5d10 plus 10 proven 3, I think. Just like blorp. That will eat high value targets for breakfast. Vehicles, fuck them. But also consider, you know, plasma. That's another thing that's like usually pretty advanced. A little risky for some people to take, but you know, the well-armored and technically savvy, you know, tech marine might be able to get away with firing those shit in maximal, you know, a lot. Something to remind you guys about, because not that you guys were bad at it. I think a decent number of people took hand flamers as backup weapons in the tunnels, but you guys do also have pistol options available. You guys can take, I think, at your renown level, can take plasma pistols and inferno pistols. You can take anti-tank pistols as like there's a very scary, you know, armored vehicle or very scary boy coming at me. I'd like to shoot him dead. I don't remember what the Texorcism gun does. You are going to fight some vehicles. There's some weird guns in the system. Like, I don't think you guys want to bother this time with, like, normal flamers, but like I said, you might consider, like I said, plasmas or meltas. You can consider plasma or melta or inferno pistols, normal bolt pistols, and other shit. Like, there's a few different options you can take.
No, but I am excited. I am excited for tomorrow. Like I said, we're going to do more of a defensive action, which I think is going to be interesting. I'm not entirely not exactly sure, like, what, like, you know, we have available, but we got a lot of wreck. I actually need to finish.
That number only gets bigger, by the way. Listen, it's fucking 80 for the Lance Strike, okay? I need, if we're going to do some funny stuff, I need to make it so you guys can, like, afford to buy, like, one use of cyclonic torpedoes and also be able to get all your cool toys.
No, toys get expensive, because I'm like, here, I was like, okay, so I'm going to want, you know, I want the chrono dilator, I'm going to want me a jump pack, I'm going to want me a fucking, I can't remember what the fucking, the stealth cloak is, but, you know, I want to become, you know, unseen in speed. And those things, like, cost, like, you know, like 50, like 25 to 50 a pop. So, yeah. No, I get it. So, no, it's
a fun, like, I think we had to get comfortable with, like, the system and balancing stuff, and obviously, like, you're doing a custom thing, the other guys are trying to, like, settle into their different, like, stats and stuff, and there were some hiccups with the system, like, in the first mission, like, realizing that vehicles don't have a flat wreck, so I just had to fucking adjust for the rest of the missions. Just plan it that way. You know, and go accordingly. Like, you know, you've got some drive surface, you know, if you really wanted to get into melee. I'm pretty sure this game's goofy enough that, you know, the Tech Marine could drive a bike and you could drive up and hit guys with your sword.
I mean, there's nothing saying that we have to, you know, defend the Citadel. We could all just grab space bikes and just, you know, do a fucking...
Get into a fucking Mad Max space biker duel with orcs? That would be very 40k.
We could do that. That is on the table, but that's something we got to talk about, you know, at the table.
Well, depending on if he bought his special talents or not, I do believe that, like, he can, I think he might be able to mount bikes for free, and if he actually took Born in the Saddle, White Scars do get the ability to do sick bike tricks. Like, I think he can, as like a half action or something, like, do 180s and stuff. Like, you can do... The White Scars have special access to talents that give them, like, even better use of bikes, both jet bikes and ground bikes and stuff. So, like, there's some very funny options out there you can do.
But, like, yes, no, it is on the table. We could all just get into bikes and just Mad Max the fucking orcs. I'm pretty sure if they saw, like, 4 Space Marines coming at them and peeled off, the orcs would be like, a fight! And just follow the Space Marines.
Well, you would just rev your bikes and flash your lights like you're a fucking gang, and the orcs in their war books would be like, "Boy, those beakies is taunting us. They think they faster than us. Well, we'll just have to see who's faster." You probably don't want to engage in melee with the Death Dread.
Probably
not the Killicans with it either.
But still, you know, there's always options, and I think that's what I am enjoying so far. It's like in a lot of tabletop RPGs, we do, you know, the adventure, and, you know, while there are options on it, you're usually going in that general line. With Deathwatch, though, we're doing the mission, and, you know, we have to approach everything, you know, in a with supplies and tactics and stuff, and I really do enjoy that. It's like, instead of like having one giant connected piece, we just it's almost video game like, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, like, and obviously there is supposed to be some world building going on, like, behind the scenes. Like, I'm weaving a narrative so that you guys can have moments of like, wait a minute, this thing's connected to that thing. But it's just as much for you to be like, hey, I don't think this is a spoiler, but, like, you're doing a mission, the second mission on Frumentil, to help some knights. If you successfully help some knights and, you know, get some knight pilots, that means when you do, you know, the big conclusion mission on Frumentil where you defeat the orcs, the knights will show up and be like, "You have called for our aid, Astartes. We're here now." You know, like, because I like those scenes, you guys like those scenes. That's a great way to, like, weave, you know, tactics for later.
Oh, yeah. No, so it's like... No, like, we're not making, like, an adventure story, but kind of, you know, that military campaign story. So, like, I'm excited to see where it goes. Like, actually, how many more missions do you think we're going to do before we go back to Rain?
Oh, I don't know exactly. Like, I think the plan is for, let me actually double check how is it, because I have a tab in my document that's technically what I called section 0, because that was the background stuff we've been working through.
Mm-hmm.
But let me actually crack it. But I think it's like, the idea is, yeah, I did get it down to, like, in this, the campaign called the Trinity Sanction, there's 8 missions, because it's 3, and then don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
So, like, I don't know, like, when you guys will feel a desire to run back to Rain. I have, you know, ideas for what the pacing for the last 2 missions are. I'm in the middle of writing 7 now, and then we write 8, and then it's like, then I'll probably cycle back to, like, working on the next batch of Rain, as I do have, you know, thoughts and feelings on that. And like I said, I don't know how long you guys will be in for it. It might be that we're locked in all the way, or you know, we go through like 4 or 5 of these, and you're like, okay, we need to run back a little.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see how we feel, because like I said, we're having fun. We're liking it as a little detour, and I will say for sure that, like, the same thing you talked about like the video gamey is, like, that's the same way I feel about writing these things. Like, it's, you know, literally I'm playing 40k video games and, like, farming ideas for enemies, and it's like, oh yeah, no, like, this is absolutely, like, we can set up, you know, cool encounters, whether that's like big box arenas, or even if it's just like, all right, what's your goals? Defend this, blow that up, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Classic ideas like, the enemy has, you know, heavy vehicles you must eliminate, or, the enemy has artillery positions, get rid of them. And the structure of Deathwatch lends itself really well to that, because you as the kill team are like, you are the 5 most elite hombres in this solar system. Like, that means that, you know, there are going to be certain tasks that just logistically are not feasible for you. You guys can't patrol, you know, a giant kilometer-long trench line, or multi-kilometer-long trench line. Technically you guys are like in between. It's like I said it's close to the route between Coronis and Calixtus. I think this is technically in the Calixtus sector.
I don't fucking know, man. Don't ask me. I don't know 40k fucking terrain.
Like, in the solar system, you guys are the most elite guys, because there's like, ugh. But yeah,
You
I know,
just
like
point Siberia's at the biggest, baddest dude and say, kill him. Pro strats, for real, trust.
Bang. One of our favorite strategy boards in 14. The plan: kill that guy. Don't die. Trust. Good heavens! Look at the time.
Tyranny time.
And I think every single time I've seen Tyranny time get posted, I've seen somebody fucking die to the mechanic. It truly is Tyranny time. But yes, check out Deathwatch. They're posted on our channel. You can watch the APs there, and you can get, like, you know, images, supplemental content, visualization. Because, again, one of the beauties of playing a licensed RPG based around 40K, a miniatures game upon miniatures games, you know, G-Dub does, like, 4,000 specialist games and board games and shit. I have a lot of visual references I can post.
Yeah.
If I'm like, hey, look at this weird guy. So, you know, it's very easy to be like, oh yeah, you want to know what an orc truck looks like? Look at this. Looks like this. Or when I like at the end of last session, I think some of that was on recording, but some of it wasn't. You know, we were talking about the knights, and I was just like, I listed out what classes you're gonna look like. So I'm just like, here, look at these. Post some images. Yeah, some big boys. Reaper Chainsaw. I forget which pattern that is. That guy's got like the double melta, I think. We love double meltas. But yes, like I said, you can check him out on our channel for visuals. If you want, you know, the tighter audio edit and like the extra flair of intro and outro music, check out the Patreon, downloadable, all that stuff. I don't really have anything else to say about Deathwatch.
Neither
Sorry,
do I.
apologize. I'm so burpy today. All right, okay. I think that's the show then. About 340. Decent. Pretty sure I've got a name for the episode in my mind. I'll try a slight. Last time I did I tried a short that was just like on this week's episode, and I just literally cut out the intro bit where I said on this week's episode. It was like 16 seconds long. I didn't do real good, and I think I didn't do the order correctly. I'll probably try that again with a little more of a snip, and I'll post it before the episode actually drops as like a preview. But I'll experiment with that probably a couple more times before I call it a day. Another experiment I did, which did okay, not like crazy high, but did better than I thought it would, was Lucky wasn't feeling well Monday, so we didn't end up streaming Okami.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're doing the big Onigashima Oni Island section, and I'm like, nah, I'll hold off. So I did what I called muck around Monday instead of fuck around Friday. I just, you know, fucked about and did some stuff and yammered with chat. We played Master Duel for like Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel for like 2 hours, and I played Aliens for like an hour and a half. One of those I did do one of the defense modes with the double flamethrower build, like heavy weapon flamethrower and normal weapon flamethrower, and just had a lot of fun, crouched behind cover, hosing down xenomorphs. So I was like, God, that was really funny. Can I turn that into a YouTube short? And the idea wouldn't leave, so the next day I did actually like bust out OBS, recorded some footage. I fucking muted all in-game sounds except for like SFX. So you could get the sweet, sweet sound of flamethrowers. I dubbed in some of like YouTube audio library music in, and just I made a short out of it. I have not yet posted it, but I still have the edit where I deep fried it. I put it through the deep fried red filter. I think I posted it on Twitter. I might post that to YouTube or put it up on our Patreon or something. I don't know, but like it's perfectly fine in the normal color balance with like a VHS filter, but I had a little fun making that for like a minute and a half. So go see that short if you haven't already. I feel like I'm not the right like content brain for shorts all the time, but occasionally I have an idea for something. I'm like, oh, I could do that in a short, and sometimes they get viewed. Anyway, so hey, this has been Let's Talk FGO. Thanks so much for watching. I mentioned it earlier, but I'll mention it now again. Do that engagement stuff. Like this video. Comment this video. If you're watching this video on your phone and you see that little thing where YouTube is like, because I've seen it, it's like, hey, you can hype this video. Do that too.
Do it.
If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel to get more of the podcast Let's Talk FGO and to catch our streams. We will hopefully be back to Okami Monday.
Yeah.
And keep on progging that one. Fail Betrayal Tuesday, Final Fantasy XIV Wednesday. So keep on that track and check us out. In addition to subbing and ringing the bell and all that other stuff, also you can consider joining channel memberships to support us and get access to membership badges and emotes. And consider supporting us on Patreon, like I talked about earlier. You can get audio downloads of this podcast, of our APs and other stuff early for as little as $1 a month or about $10 a year. At higher levels, you get access to video releases early and topic polls early. or not topic polls early, but, topic polls for stuff like Fanservant Friday and Fail Portrayal and etc. And at our higher levels, you can listen to us record Let's Talk FGO live every week on our Discord. And at our highest tier, you can get a shout-out like Adam DeHart, Black G, Comedy Zed, Carlos, Dragon, JD Van 1000, Rise of Kenji, Rogue Robin, and Sharvor. Thank you very much, all of our wonderful, beautiful listeners, but especially our wonderful, beautiful patrons of all stripes. This has been Let's Talk FGO. We'll see you guys next week for more. Good night, everybody.
Good night.